Chapter 2875. I don't need to tell you how I got it. You don't have the right to know. Ouyang Qingxiang said indifferently. The Supreme Saint's eyes turned, and he suddenly had an idea. He shouted, I know. You must be lucky to have found the burial ground of the planet devourers and dug up many gold, rank planet devourers' corpses. That's why you can get so many heads. Also, look, these 3 heads are shriveled. This is caused by the loss of too much essence. This must be a golden planet devourer that died many years ago. Finally, the Supreme Saint pointed at the heads of the 3 mutated gold devourers. The head of the mutated gold devourer looked like it had been dead for many years because of the copper coffin. The Paragon Saint's words enlightened many people. So that's how it is. No, that must be it. They are lucky to have encountered a graveyard where planets are buried. That's right. Otherwise, even the Supreme Saint could only hunt 1 golden planet devourer. How could they hunt 14? It's like a fantasy story. Yes, I think that's how their bronze planet devourer and silver planet devourer came to be. I'm so lucky. Everyone was talking about it. As for Ouyang Qingxiang, Kong Chong, and Lu Jie, their complexions turned ugly. Who said we've encountered the burial ground of the planet devourer? Let me tell you, these planet devourers were all killed by us. Ouyang Qingxiang shouted. You hunted it with your own hands? Ha ha ha. Ouyang Qingxiang, do you have the strength? It's you? Or Lu Ming? Aren't you afraid that others will laugh their heads off? Sovereign of Universe sneered. He didn't believe that Ouyang Qingxiang, Lu Ming, and the others could kill so many planet devourers. Humph, you're making wild guesses. Supreme Grand Elder, you may announce the results. Ouyang Qingxiang snorted coldly. She then looked over at Ji Zun. Ji Zun's face was somewhat gloomy. However, he could only announce Ouyang Qingxiang's score at this moment. Ouyang Qingxiang, 14 gold devourer heads, 20 silver devourer heads, 101 silver devourer heads, for a total of 801 points. Ji Zun announced. Everyone's heart was in turmoil. 801 points. Almost 600 points more than the Paragon Saint. The high score was so high that it made the competition seem simple and confusing. Perhaps Ouyang Qingxiang could rely on this round's advantage to obtain the final victory. All right, the first round is over. Next, let's proceed to the second round, said Ji Zundong. His eyes were twinkling with a sinister light. The second round is very simple. 12 people from each of your 3 sides will get on the battle stage and fight against each other. The last one standing on the battle stage will be the winner. The winner will be the future Zong Zi. As soon as these words were spoken, many people's faces froze. Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather was even more furious. He took a step forward and said, Sovereign move? What do you mean by this? The rules of the second round are inappropriate. Inappropriate? How is it inappropriate? Ji Zundong sneered. Nonsense. Of course it's inappropriate. This way, it would be equivalent to deciding the victor in the second round. Then, what's the point of the first round? What we said before is to combine the points of the 2 rounds. The one with the higher points will be the future Zong Zi. Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather retorted loudly. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others' faces were gloomy. Ji Zundong's action was blatantly biased towards Ji Zundong. He saw that Ji Zundong's points were too far behind in the first round. If the points of the 2 rounds were combined, Ji Zundong might not be able to compete with Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. That was why he used this rule. In this way, the first round of the competition would be meaningless. Previously, we said that the second round would use the battle stage format and combine the points of the 2 rounds. However, I feel that this is inappropriate. The future Zong Zi must be the strongest. If the weakest is chosen as the Zong Zi and takes over the Kongxian school in the future, it will only make the school weaker. Only the strongest person can lead the Kongxian school to become the strongest in the future, said Ji Zundong. Ji Zundong, this is sophistry. Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather shouted. What sophistry? If you want to calculate based on points, fine. However, in the first round, Ouyang Qingxiang Lu Ming and the others didn't rely on their own strength to obtain so many points. They were just lucky and obtained a planet devourer's burial ground. This won't be a test at all. If you want to calculate based on points, fine. Ouyang Qingxiang's points in the first round will be reset to 0. Only then will it be meaningful. Zhi Zundong sneered. Zhi Zundong, what makes you think that Qingxiang's points were obtained by luck and not by strength? Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather roared. Zhi Zundong was truly despicable. Previously, the Holy Sun's tone was only guessing that Ouyang Qingxiang's group had obtained a planet devourer's burial ground. But Zhi Zundong directly asserted that Lu Ming's group had obtained a planet devourer's burial ground and didn't rely on their own strength. With one sentence, he rejected Lu Ming's results. Ouyang Qingxiang, Kong Chong, and Lu Jie's faces were filled with anger. Hunting with strength? Ha ha ha! You want to hunt down 14 golden planet devourers? Can they do it? You really know how to flatter yourself. If they can hunt down 14 golden planet devourers with their true strength, then I, Zhi Zundong, will write the words upside down. Zhi Zundong sneered. You, Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather, was furious, but he had nothing to say. In fact, in his heart, he also felt that Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang's group had also obtained a planet devourer's burial ground. So for a moment, he couldn't refute. I agree with Grand Elder's suggestion. At this moment, a voice abruptly rang out, attracting everyone's attention. Everyone's gaze turned to the person who spoke. It's Lu Ming. He actually agrees with Grand Elder's suggestion. He probably has a guilty conscience and knows that his points were obtained wrongly, so he agreed. That must be the case. Moreover, I think he doesn't dare to offend the Holy Sun and Grand Elder. Many people guessed. The person who spoke just now was naturally Lu Ming. You agree? Zhi Zundong's gaze also looked at Lu Ming. To be honest, he was also a little surprised that Lu Ming would actually agree. Yes, I agree. I think Grand Elder's words make sense. Since it's a Zongzi competition, we should rely on strength to speak. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming, you. Ouyang Qingxiang revealed an anxious look and quickly transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. If they follow Zhi Zundong's method, then the advantage they had established in the first round would be completely useless. Chapter 2876. Don't worry, trust me. Lu Ming smiled and transmitted his voice to Ouyang Qingxiang. Lu Ming's words made the others dumbfounded. Some of them were puzzled, while others sneered. All right, since you agreed, let's do it this way. Ouyang Qingxiang Fuko Seiko, do you have any objections? Zhizun said. I have no objections. Ouyang Qingxiang's eyes flickered a few times before she nodded in agreement. She chose to believe in Lu Ming. Moreover, Lu Ming's strength had improved greatly this time. He might be able to fight against the Paragon Saint. I have no objections either. Fuko Seiko also nodded. In the first round, he was ranked last. Regardless of whether he was compared to the Paragon Saint or Lu Ming and the rest, the difference was too great. Such a change was beneficial to him. If they fought purely based on strength, he might be able to fight against the Paragon Saint if he gathered the strength of the other 3 saints and saintesses. There was no reason for him to disagree. Brother Yu, look, they have already agreed. Do you still want to object? Zhi Zun looked at Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather. Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather was against it. But since Ouyang Qingxiang and the others had already agreed, he couldn't say anything. He could only remain silent with a gloomy face. All right, then it's settled. You all can fight in the arena. Zhi Zun announced. During this process, Long Zhoushan didn't say anything, as if he didn't want to interfere. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In a flash, the Paragon Saint, Fuko Seiko, Lu Ming, and the others rushed into the arena. The 3 parties, each with 4 people, stood in 3 directions of the arena, forming a triangle. Let the battle begin. Zhi Zun announced. However, none of the three parties moved. All three parties wanted to wait for the other two parties to make the first move so that they could reap the benefits. No one would make the first move to help the others. For a moment, the three parties were sizing each other up. Everyone around the arena was holding their breaths. They understood that none of the three sides would rashly take action, but once they did, they would unleash a thunderous attack, erupting with an astonishing, great battle. Everyone was looking forward to it. The Paragon Saint had a calm smile on his face as his gaze swept over Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, and Fuko Seiko. Among these people, the only one he was somewhat afraid of was Lu Ming. Lu Ming had always given her an unfathomable feeling. He was the only person she valued. As for the others, he did not care about them at all. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, why don't we join forces and blast floating light down first? And then we can decide the victor. Suddenly, the Paragon Saint sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. Let's work together first. Ouyang Qingxiang's eyes flashed as she considered the possibility of this suggestion. If they joined forces with the Paragon Saint to eliminate Fuko Seiko's side first, then they would have to face the Paragon Saint's challenge alone. It would be impossible to find someone to join forces with. Ouyang Qingxiang started to consider joining forces with Fuko Seiko to deal with the Paragon Saint together, and then fight Fuko Seiko to decide the victor. However, she was afraid that Fuko Seiko would join forces with the Paragon Saint to deal with them first. Therefore, she hesitated for a moment. Okay, I promise you, Lu Ming directly replied. Ouyang Qingxiang's eyes flickered, but she did not object. Now, she could only choose to believe in Lu Ming. Okay. The Paragon Saint's eyes flashed as he looked at Fuko Seiko. He suddenly stepped out, and a powerful aura erupted from his body. At the same time, the three people behind the Paragon Saint also erupted with powerful auras, pressuring Fuko Seiko. Following that, Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the other two also erupted with powerful auras, surging toward Fuko Seiko's group. Fuko Seiko's and the others' faces changed drastically. Paragon Saint, Lu Ming, you guys are despicable. You actually want to join forces with each other to deal with one of us. Fuko Seiko roared. Floating light, you have 4 saints and saintesses. Adding our 2 sides together, we have 4 saints. It's just nice to have a battle to determine the victor. This is the fairest way. The Paragon Saint sneered. He was right. He also had 2 saints on his side. Adding Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang, they had 4 saints, just like Fuko Seiko's group. Fuko Seiko's face turned ugly. Cut the crap. Let's have a battle. The Paragon Saint roared, his body emitting a violent divine force. The violent aura formed a storm, pressuring toward Fuko Seiko. Supreme Divine Fist. The Paragon Saint roared, his fists emitting a dazzling golden light. He continuously punched out, sending dazzling fist imprints toward Fuko Seiko. Yankong, you and I will block Paragon Saint and the others. Xuetan, Jixia, Lu Ming, and Ouyang Qingxiang, I'll leave them to you. Fuko Seiko roared. At this point, he had no choice but to fight. Fuko Seiko's figure moved, pouncing toward the Paragon Saint. His 5th level, heavenly god strength, was fully unleashed. Outer divine light. Fuko Seiko roared, his body emitting a dazzling light that was even brighter than the sun. The dazzling light turned into a terrifying palm imprint, blasting toward the Paragon Saint. Boom! Boom! Their attacks collided, creating 1,000 layers of waves. The sky was filled with dazzling light. The silver-white and the golden light complemented each other. However, the golden light obviously had the upper hand. In the end, the silver-white light kept vibrating and then exploded. Fuko Seiko's figure retreated rapidly. In a head-on confrontation, he was completely suppressed by the Paragon Saint. At the same time, the Flaming Sky Saint was locked in a fierce battle with the Paragon Saint's #1 subordinate. That person's strength was not weaker than the Flaming Sky Saint. As for the other two people, their strength was weaker than the saint, so they did not join the battle. Instead, they stood at the side to keep watch. On the other side, Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, Saint Jixia, and Saint Xuatan were facing off. Green Lotus Sword Song. Ouyang Qingxiang shouted and slashed out a green sword light, slashing toward Saint Xuatan. Saint Xuatan also used all her strength to resist. However, after one move, Saint Xuatan's delicate body trembled and she retreated continuously. She was no match for Ouyang Qingxiang. Ouyang Qingxiang and Saint Xuatan's strength were originally on par. However, now that Ouyang Qingxiang had broken through to level 5 Heavenly God Realm, her strength was completely above Saint Xuatan's. After gaining the upper hand in one move, Ouyang Qingxiang continued to use the Green Lotus Sword Song. Numerous green lotuses shrouded Saint Xuatan, bursting out thousands of sword qi. Saint Xuatan tried to resist, but it was useless. After a dozen moves, she was pushed to the edge of the fighting ring. There were several sword wounds on her body, and blood flowed out. Roar! An ancient god's roar could be heard. It was emitted by the ancient god body that Lu Ming had transformed into. However, Lu Ming did not use his full strength. Lu Ming did not turn into a green-armored ancient god, but a green-armored ancient god. After cultivating the ancient god tactics, he could control the level of ancient god at will. Chapter 2877. Even though Lu Ming had transformed into a green-armored ancient god, his cultivation had only reached LV8 True God Realm. However, Lu Ming had completely suppressed Saint Sun Jixia. Saint Sun Jixia's combat strength was similar to that of the Tianhong Saint Sun. Back then, Lu Ming's cultivation was also at LV8 True God Realm. When he transformed into a green-armored ancient god, he had defeated the Tianhong Saint Sun. Now it was the same. Moon slash, moon slash. The long spear in Lu Ming's hand was as big as a mountain. He constantly used the moon slash technique to attack Saint Sun Jixia. At the same time, Lu Ming also used the ice chains and the divine dragon dharma characteristic art. The 9 ice chains kept entangling the holy sun of Jixia, which seriously interfered with the holy sun of Jixia. The 2 9-clawed divine dragons roared again and again, completely suppressing holy sun Jixia. Kong Chong and Lu Jie did not need to do anything. Fuko Seiko is going to lose. That's right. Lu Ming and Saint Daughter Qingxiang are really powerful. When they join forces with the Supreme Saint, Fuko Seiko is no match for them. Yeah, look, Fuko Seiko is going to lose. The Supreme Saint is too strong. Many onlookers were discussing. Suddenly, someone shouted. At this moment, the Supreme Saint had completely suppressed Fuko Seiko. The terrifying fist force pressed down on Fuko Seiko. The Saint Sun of Fleeting Light finally couldn't hold on any longer and was punched in the chest by the Supreme Saint Sun. The Saint Sun of Fleeting Light let out a blood-curdling scream and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His body exploded as he was blasted off the battle platform. Ah, damn it! Fuko Seiko roared. Being blasted out of the fighting ring meant that he had lost. He had lost the chance to become a Zongzi. He was really unwilling to accept this. After defeating Fuko Seiko, the Supreme Saint's figure flashed and attacked the Flame Sky Saint. Boom! A terrifying fist force smashed towards the Flame Sky Saint Sun. Although the Flame Sky Saint Sun tried his best to block it, the difference between him and the Supreme Saint Sun was too great. He directly vomited a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He was severely injured. The Flame Sky Saint was defeated. Green Lotus Sword Song. Sword shakes the world. At this moment, Ouyang Qingxiang shouted and a dazzling sword Saint Daughter Xuatan was sent flying. Xuatan Saintess was defeated. All of a sudden, Sacred Sun Jixia was the only one left on the side of Sacred Sun Fuguang. He was struggling bitterly in Lu Ming's hands. However, defeat was only a matter of time. The Supreme Saint swept his gaze across Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. Suddenly, a sinister look flashed across his eyes. He transformed into a golden ray of light and charged toward Lu Ming, throwing a punch at Lu Ming. The Paragon Saint actually launched a sneak attack on Lu Ming, and the first move was a killing move. If Lu Ming were to be hit by this move, he would at least be seriously injured or even crippled. Saint Sun Ji was still afraid of Lu Ming. In his opinion, although Lu Ming was not as strong as him, his speed of improvement was too fast. If this continued, Lu Ming would surpass him soon. This time, the reason why the supreme martial artist and the rest initiated the meeting in advance to decide on the Zongzi position was that they were wary of Lu Ming. They were afraid that Lu Ming would surpass Saint Sun Jidong. This feeling made Saint Sun Jidong extremely uncomfortable. In the past, he had always been high and mighty, suppressing the other Saint Suns and Saint Suns. The other Saint Suns and Saintesses were just there to accompany him. But now, Lu Ming was about to surpass him. This made him extremely jealous of Lu Ming. He would not allow the Kongxian school to have a stronger prodigy than him, nor would he allow anyone with a higher talent than him. If there was, he would get rid of them. Therefore, Saint Sun Jidong seized this opportunity to attack Lu Ming. He wanted to cripple Lu Ming in one move. "Sovereign Universe, you're despicable!" Ouyang Qingxiang shouted. Lu Ming was still fighting with Saint Sun Jixia. They had not completely defeated Saint Sun Jixia, but Saint Sun Jixia had already attacked Lu Ming. He was simply despicable and shameless. At this moment, Ouyang Qingxiang attacked without hesitation. She used all her strength. She turned into a beam of sword light and appeared between Lu Ming and Saint Sun Jidong. Then, she used the rest of her strength to set up a layer of defense. But at this critical moment, Ouyang Qingxiang did not gather much strength. How could she block Saint Sun Jidong's attack? Boom! Saint Sun Jidong's golden fist landed on Ouyang Qingxiang's body. It broke through Ouyang Qingxiang's defense, and a violent force heavily bombarded Ouyang Qingxiang's body. Ouyang Qingxiang was directly sent flying, and blood splattered in the air. Qingxiang! Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather caught Ouyang Qingxiang. Powerful divine force continuously poured into Ouyang Qingxiang's body. Ouyang Qingxiang's face was pale. She was obviously seriously injured. "Sovereign Universe!" Lu Ming bellowed angrily, and the divine power that erupted increased by a notch. The spear gleam was like a mountain, shaking heaven and earth. It whipped the Saint of Jixia and sent him flying out of the fighting ring. In this way, Fuko Seiko's group of 4 had been defeated, and Lu Ming's group was only left with 3 people. Saint Sun Jidong, and there were still 4 of them. Boom! Lu Ming held his spear and his battle-intent sword. Cold killing intent burst out without any concealment. "Despicable," Lu Ming said coldly. "Humph." Saint Sun Jidong snorted and stared at Lu Ming with an unfriendly gaze. Swoosh! Swoosh! 3 of Saint Sun Jidong's subordinates appeared beside Saint Sun Jidong and stood in a row. Kong Chong and Lu Jia also appeared beside Lu Ming and stared angrily at Saint Sun Jidong. "The outcome has been decided." An elder shook his head. "Looks like Saint Sun Jidong will definitely win this time. There is no suspense. Saint Sun Jidong will become a Zongzi. This is completely within my expectations. Fortunately, I have already sided with Saint Sun Jidong." Ha! The scene was noisy. Some people were happy while others were sad. The other Saint Suns and Saintesses factions naturally had ugly expressions, but those of Saint Sun Jidong's faction were wild with joy. They all thought that the outcome had been decided. Only Lu Ming's group of 3 was left. It was impossible for them to be a match for Saint Sun Jidong. "Lu Ming, do you still want to fight? I think you'd better get off the battle stage yourself, lest I have to do it myself," Saint Sun Jidong said coldly, looking at Lu Ming with disdain. "Get off the battle stage? Of course I will. But before that, I will make you kneel in front of me," Lu Ming said coldly. "You want me to kneel in front of you? Ha ha ha. Saint Sun Zhidong laughed maniacally. After laughing for a while, his expression changed and revealed a trace of malevolence. Originally, I could have let you off if you had gotten off the battle stage yourself. But now I have changed my mind. I want you to kneel in front of me and lick my shoes. Saint Sun Zhidong said coldly, and the aura on his body became even more violent. Bam! Bam! Saint Sun Zhidong stepped forward step by step. His whole body was covered with golden divine power, and he was extraordinarily mighty. His violent aura kept pressing down on Lu Ming's group. With every step he took, his aura became stronger. Lu Ming stood there motionless. However, Kong Chong and Lu Jia were unable to withstand the attack and retreated continuously. Chapter 2878. Kong Chong, Lu Jia, retreat to the edge of the fighting stage. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Kong Chong and Lu Jia. What? Both of them were stunned. Retreat to the edge of the fighting stage and leave this to me. Otherwise, when the battle starts, I won't be able to take care of you. Lu Ming said. This, Kong Chong and Lu Jia hesitated for a moment, then nodded and moved to the edge of the fighting stage. They knew that with their strength, they wouldn't be able to help Lu Ming at all. Instead, they would be a burden to Lu Ming. Haha, Lu Ming, looks like you're really confident to fight me alone. The Supreme Holy Sun glanced at Kong Chong and Lu Jia and sneered. Then he suddenly took a step forward and rushed toward Lu Ming, throwing out a punch. Boom! The golden fist force seemed to split the void into two. It was extremely huge, like a small mountain, and crushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming was still in the form of a green-armored ancient god. With a shake of his long spear, he pressed down on the Supreme Holy Sun with the force of Mount Tai. In the process of pressing down, Lu Ming's cultivation base burst out to the limit of the 9th level True God realm. Boom! The long spear and the golden fist force collided in the void, exploding out with a loud boom. The sky was filled with energy that scattered in all directions. The two released countless tiny spear lights and energy that bombarded the fighting stage. The fighting stage shook violently, and runes appeared on it, forming a large array that blocked all the energy. However, everyone's eyes were wide open. Through the light that filled the sky, they stared at every movement on the field. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures trembled in the light that filled the sky. Then they staggered back. Lu Ming and the Supreme Holy Sun both retreated. The difference was that Lu Ming retreated more, while the Supreme Holy Sun retreated less. However, this scene still caused a huge uproar. Everyone was shocked that Lu Ming could actually fight the Supreme Holy Sun and force him to retreat. This was something that the other Holy Suns couldn't do. Lu Ming's cultivation is at the peak of the True God realm. He hid his strength before. He is indeed at the peak of the True God realm. When he was fighting with Holy Sun Jixia just now, he only revealed the cultivation of a LV8 True God realm. Now that he is facing the Supreme Holy Sun, he only revealed the cultivation of a LV9 True God realm. But even if he's only a peak 9th level True God, his battle prowess is still too terrifying. After all, the utmost Holy Sun's cultivation is at the 6th level of the Heavenly God realm. The crowd was in an uproar, and the Paragon Saint's face turned grave. Lu Ming, so you've been hiding your cultivation. However, this is your limit. You're dreaming if you think you can fight me with this level of cultivation. Supreme Divine Fist. The Paragon Saint let out a long roar and waved his fists. The speed at which he waved his fists was much slower than before, as if he was pushing a mountain forward. However, a loud rumbling sound was heard in the void. It was as if the entire void was being pushed up and pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt several terrifying fist energies pressing down on him. Divine Dragon Dharma, Laksana. Lu Ming's hands moved at an astonishing speed, and 2 9-clawed dragons appeared in the sky. They were 10,000 meters long and looked very lifelike. However, in the next moment, Another 9-clawed dragon appeared beside the 9-clawed dragon. A third one. At this moment, Lu Ming had broken his limit. In such a state, he had actually formed a third divine, Dragon Dharma Laksana. 3 10,000 meters long 9-clawed dragons pounced on the Paragon Saint. It's the Heavenly Hong Saint's divine Dragon Dharma Laksana. The moment the divine Dragon Dharma Laksana appeared, it was recognized by everyone. It's really the Heavenly Hong Saint's divine Dragon Dharma Laksana. Lu Ming can actually cultivate the divine Dragon Dharma Laksana. His body actually contains the bloodline of the divine dragon. The most terrifying thing is that he's much stronger than the Heavenly Hong Saint. The Heavenly Hong Saint has only formed a 6-clawed divine dragon, but the Saint Lu Ming has actually formed a 9-clawed dragon. Moreover, it's 3 9-clawed dragons. Terrifying. It's simply unfathomable. Everyone at the scene was deeply shocked. Break. The Paragon Saint let out a long roar and pushed his fist energies towards the 3 divine Dragon Dharma Laksana. In the sky, there was another terrifying tremor. The 3 9-clawed dragons and the Paragon Saint let out earth-shattering roars as if they could split the sky. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In such an intense confrontation, Lu Ming also used the apocalyptic 3 strikes and attacked the Paragon Saint with all his might. Streaks of terrifying spear light pierced towards the Paragon Saint's vital points. At the same time, the 9 ice chains would also find time to wrap around the Paragon Saint. Lu Ming could be said to have used all his means. His coordination was flawless, and his killing power was shockingly strong. In an instant, he was actually on par with the Paragon Saint. Lu Ming's strength has increased. Fuko Seiko's face was extremely gloomy. Lu Ming's current combat power had already surpassed his. If he were to fight with Lu Ming, he was afraid that he would not be a match for him. The others were also silent. Lu Ming's strength had far exceeded everyone's expectations. He could definitely compete with the Paragon Saint. Divine grade divine power. Lu Ming's divine power is definitely divine grade divine power. Someone whispered. Nonsense. Of course, it's divine grade divine power. But even divine grade divine power can't be so strong. With just the cultivation of a peak true god, he can fight with the Paragon Saint. Secret technique. He must have mastered a shocking secret technique to be able to increase his combat power. It's terrifying. I can see that he has already used several kinds of secret techniques. He's definitely a peerless genius. It's a pity that the time given to him is too short. If he has a few more years, the Paragon Saint will definitely not be a match for him. Many people were impressed by Lu Ming's combat power. At the same time, they could also guess why the person behind the Paragon Saint had proposed to compete for the position of Zongzi. It must be because he was afraid of Lu Ming. The Paragon Saint's face was also very ugly. The stronger Lu Ming was, the greater the fear in his heart. Humph. Qian Kuan still has a trump card. This time, Qian Kuan will definitely win. The Paragon Saint snorted coldly in his heart. At this moment, the Paragon Saint let out a long roar. Lu Ming, you're indeed not weak. You're qualified to witness my ultimate move. Supreme Vajra. The Paragon Saint roared. His body burst out with an even more dazzling golden light. At the same time, his body began to swell. In the blink of an eye, the Paragon Saint's body grew to 200 meters tall. His whole body was golden, like an ancient, invincible giant. This was the Paragon Saint's strongest secret technique. When he turned into the legendary Supreme Vajra, his combat power would increase tremendously. Originally, Lu Ming turned into a green-armored ancient god and was 100 meters tall. But now, the Supreme Vajra that the Paragon Saint turned into was twice as tall as Lu Ming. It's the Supreme Family's ancient secret technique, Supreme Vajra. I heard that the Supreme Family's ancient secret technique, Supreme Vajra, is extremely difficult to cultivate. No one from the Supreme family has succeeded in cultivating it for many years. I didn't expect the Paragon Saint to succeed. His talent is indeed amazing. Many people around the fighting ring exclaimed. Chapter 2879. Crush him! The Paragon Saint bellowed. His fist force was as strong as a mountain, and it blasted toward Lu Ming. Rumble! Lu Ming saw a huge golden fist pressing down from the sky. The entire space shook violently. Roar! Lu Ming let out a roar that sounded like the roar of an ancient god as he swept out his spear. Clang! The long spear collided with the Paragon Saint's golden fist. Terrifying sound waves spread out in all directions like ripples of water. Wong! Lu Ming's long spear shook violently as if it was about to shatter. Lu Ming's 100-meter tall body shook violently as he retreated. Dong! Dong! The 100-meter tall body stepped on the fighting stage, creating a loud boom. The fighting stage shook continuously. Lu Ming retreated more than 10 steps before he could stabilize himself. Lu Ming, you're going to lose. Kneel down. The Paragon Holy Sun roared as he looked down at Lu Ming. His huge fists pressed down on Lu Ming, trying to force Lu Ming to kneel on the ground. Do you think you're the only one who can grow bigger? Change for me too. Grow bigger, 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 bigger. Lu Ming hollered. His body rapidly grew in size. Lu Ming's body also grew to a height of 200 meters. The scales on his body also turned green. Lu Ming did not hold back and transformed into a green-armored ancient god. Boom! He struck out with his spear and clashed with the Paragon Holy Sun. The sky shook continuously, and the two figures retreated continuously. The two of them retreated more than 10 steps, respectively. What? Lu Ming was still holding back. This is too shocking. Lu Ming's transformation into a green-armored ancient god shocked even more people. Originally, everyone thought that Lu Ming had reached his limit and could not get any stronger. However, Lu Ming didn't seem to have any confidence. As his opponents became stronger, Lu Ming also became stronger. The Paragon Saint used his secret technique, Paragon Vajra, and transformed into a 200-meter tall giant. Lu Ming also transformed into a green-armored ancient god. Damn it! The Paragon Saint roared, his heart trembling. Deep fear flashed in his eyes. Yes, he was deeply shocked by Lu Ming's endless methods. In his heart he was also scared. No, I must win today, and I must kill this brat. I must kill him. The Paragon Saint roared in his heart, his eyes filled with malevolence. Originally, he wasn't allowed to kill his opponent in this match. However, he didn't care anymore. No matter what, he had to kill Lu Ming. With his background, even if he killed Lu Ming, so what? When the time came, who would punish him for a dead person? Kill! The Paragon Saint roared as he swung his fists at Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He also charged at the Paragon Saint. The two huge figures collided and fought with each other. Both of them used all their strength, trying to suppress each other. Boom! Boom! The two of them fought on the fighting stage, and then from the fighting stage to the sky. This battle lasted more than 100 moves. Bang! The Paragon Saint punched Lu Ming's shoulder, directly penetrating Lu Ming's shoulder. Green scales mixed with flesh and blood flew everywhere. However, Lu Ming's long spear also pierced the Paragon Saint's abdomen. It directly pierced through his abdomen, creating a big hole. Tragic. The battle was very tragic. At this point in the battle, both of them knew that their combat strength was equal. Only by fighting head-on could they have a chance of winning. It depended on who was more ruthless and whose willpower was stronger. The two of them didn't care about their injuries. Before they could recover, they fought again. Next, both of them were hit, injury for injury, and their injuries worsened. However, both of them didn't care. In their eyes, there was only one goal, and that was to defeat their opponent, Lu Ming. At the side of the fighting stage, Ouyang Qingxiang, Yulinglong, and the others were watching nervously, their hands tightly clenched together. They naturally hoped that Lu Ming could win. As for the Paragon Saint and those who supported the Paragon Saint, they were also very nervous. They also hoped that the Paragon Saint could win. Therefore, most of them held their breaths, staring at the two figures, waiting for the final result. Damn it, this kid is actually so strong. The Paragon Saint was more shocked as the battle went on. Lu Ming's strength, patience, and ruthlessness had all exceeded his expectations. I will definitely win. My cultivation is at the 6th level of the heavenly god realm, and my divine power is strong and condensed. As for him, he is only at the peak of the true god realm. I don't believe that I can't beat him with my divine power. I will exhaust him to death. The Paragon Saint thought. Unfortunately, he was destined to be disappointed. Lu Ming had the measurable character art, and he had stored a large amount of divine power. He wasn't afraid of anyone who had more divine power. The two of them exchanged another 200 moves. At this time, the Paragon Saint's divine power was gradually losing. As for Lu Ming, he was still as lively as a dragon and lively as a tiger. Not good. Lu Ming is a monster. If this continues, Universe won't be able to defeat him. I must stop him. Ji Zundong cried out in his heart, "Stop!" Hearing this, the Paragon Saint wanted to retreat and stop the battle. However, how could Lu Ming let him retreat so easily? Lu Ming quickly followed, his spear constantly stabbing at the Paragon Saint, making it impossible for the Paragon Saint to retreat. Seeing this, the Paragon Saint's eyes flashed with a trace of malevolence. A powerful aura erupted from his body. Pressing down on Lu Ming and the Paragon Saint, he said in a cold voice, "Lu Ming, I told you to retreat. Didn't you hear me?" However, the moment the Paragon Saint's aura erupted, Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather also moved, releasing a burst of aura to counteract the Paragon Saint's aura. Therefore, Lu Ming's figure only paused for a moment before he continued to attack the Paragon Saint. "Paragon Saint, what are you doing?" They are in the middle of a battle. During the battle, others have no right to interfere. Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather, Yu Wuya, said coldly, who said, "I'm interfering. I just have something to announce." The Paragon Saint said, "What is it? Just say it." Yu Wuya said coldly, "Today's battle is too tragic. The two of them are still in a draw. Moreover, both of them are heavily injured. If this continues, it will be disadvantageous for them. I suggest that we end it as a draw today and continue the battle another day to prevent them from injuring their origin." The Paragon Saint said. His eyes flashed with a cunning light. As long as they stopped the battle now and fought another day, he had a way to let the Paragon Saint win the next time. He could even make Lu Ming disappear forever, unable to compete with the Paragon Saint. Ha ha ha, what a joke. Old man, you're too shameless. Everyone can see that Sovereign Universe's divine power is running out. He's about to be defeated and you're saying it's a draw? And you're saying it's for our own good? Bah, shameless. Lu Ming was really infuriated. He simply scolded him. He had seen many shameless people, and the Paragon Saint could definitely be ranked in the top 5. Chapter 2880. Lu Ming, what did you say? What did you say? Ji Zundong was so angry that he was trembling. His eyes were burning with rage. Lu Ming actually dared to scold him in front of so many people. This infuriated him greatly. He could not wait to slap Lu Ming to death. "Not only are you shameless, your hearing is also bad." I said, "Shameless, can't you hear me?" Lu Ming didn't give Ji Zundong any face and directly mocked him. Lu Ming didn't need to give face to such a shameless person. "Brat, you don't know how to respect your superiors. You're rebelling against your superiors. I'll kill you." Ji Zundong let out a furious roar and slapped Lu Ming. Ji Zundong was a divine king. His strength was terrifying. With a single palm strike, the entire sky darkened. A palm print covered the entire sky. However, Yuya had been watching Ji Zundong the whole time. As soon as Ji Zundong moved, Yuya also attacked. A sword light soared into the sky and slashed at Ji Zundong's palm. It directly split the palm, and the sword light and the palm disappeared. Yuya, what are you doing? This brat is lawless and arrogant. I want to kill him, and you want to stop me? Ji Zundong roared. Nonsense, Lu Ming is right. You're so shameless, can't you scold him? In my opinion, he scolded him well. What's wrong with that? Yuya sneered. You. Ji Zundong was furious. But this time, those eminent elders who were originally on Ji Zundong's side didn't stand up for him. Ji Zundong was indeed a little shameless. Did he think that the others were fools? It was obvious that Ji Zundong was at a disadvantage. Now that he declared a draw, it was too shameless. The other eminent elders wouldn't do such a thing. Without help, Ji Zundong couldn't cover the sky with one hand. At the same time, the battle between Lu Ming and the Paragon Saint was still ongoing. However, Lu Ming had already gained the upper hand. The more they fought, the more the Paragon Saint's divine power was consumed. It was getting harder and harder for him to hold on. However, Lu Ming's attacks were still the same as before, like a raging storm. Bang! Lu Ming's spear swept across Ji Zundong's body, causing half of Ji Zundong's body to explode. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Ji Zun staggered backwards and spat out a mouthful of blood. As for his body, it rapidly shrank to the size of a normal person. His divine power had been severely depleted. Coupled with the heavy injuries he had sustained, it was difficult for him to maintain the body of a supreme Vajra. After returning to the size of a normal person, his strength had weakened a lot, and he was no match for Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming's spear pressed down like a mountain range. The Supreme Being did his best to resist, but the outcome was already set in stone. Under the pressure of the spear, Ji Zun's body trembled uncontrollably. Kneel for me, Lu Ming shouted. His divine power surged into the spear like a tide, causing the spear to become incomparably heavy. It continued to press down on Ji Zundong. No, the Supreme Being Saint shouted hysterically. He didn't want to kneel, but under Lu Ming's pressure, he simply couldn't resist. Bang! The Supreme Being Saint trembled and directly knelt on the ground. SI gasps could be heard from the crowd. Their eyes were filled with deep shock. The Supreme Being Saint had actually knelt down. He was being suppressed by another person and forced to kneel on the ground in front of everyone. If they hadn't seen this scene with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. The Supreme Being Saint could be said to be the legend of the Kongxian school's generation. He was the strongest heaven's pride, and the people of the Kongxian school believed that he was the best candidate for the future sect master. He was someone who could compete with the heaven's pride of the three overlords. But now, such a person had been defeated, and the person who defeated him was a new disciple. All of this was simply a legend. Lu Ming, I'm going to kill you. The Supreme Being Saint roared crazily. His eyes were blood red, and he struggled crazily, emitting a terrifying killing intent. Loser, you're courting death, Lu Ming said coldly. He took a step forward, and streaks of spear light burst out, piercing through the Supreme Being Saint's body, causing him to be even more injured. At the same time, the long spear in his hand continued to press down, directly pressing the Supreme Being Saint to the ground like a toad. Swoosh! Following that, Lu Ming took a step forward and came in front of the Supreme Being Saint. His body began to shrink to the size of a normal person, and he stepped on the Supreme Being Saint's face. Ah! The Supreme Being Saint roared crazily. This was a great humiliation, and it was even more unbearable than killing him. He was actually stepped on by Lu Ming in front of everyone. Lu Ming, that's enough! The Supreme Being Saint roared angrily, and his eyes revealed a cold, killing intent. If it wasn't for you Weah stopping him, he would have already killed Lu Ming. Old fellow, you don't have the qualifications to speak. Oh, right. Didn't you say that if I defeated the Supreme Being Saint, you would write your name backwards? What should you be called now? Lu Ming sneered. Ha ha ha, not bad. Supreme Being Saint, no, I can't call you Supreme Being Saint anymore. Ha ha ha, this name is really awkward, but it suits you. Yu Wia raised his head and laughed, extremely carefree. You guys! The Supreme Being Saint's face turned red, and he wished he could grind Lu Ming's bones to dust. All right, let's end the competition here. At this moment, Dragon Zhoushan's indifferent voice rang out. Dragon Zhoushan had been watching coldly from the sidelines. Now that everything was over, he stood out to speak. Zun Dong and Yu Wia coldly glanced at each other, then coldly snorted and retreated. Scram! Lu Ming lightly laughed and kicked the Supreme Being Saint's face, sending him flying. In this way, Lu Ming was the only one left in the fighting ring. All right, according to the rules, this competition is Lu Ming's victory. Dragon Zhoushan announced. Good. Some people on the side of the stage cheered loudly. They all belonged to Lu Ming's faction, as well as Ouyang Qingxiang's faction. This was especially true for Yu Linglong, Wu Zifeng, and the others. They shouted especially loudly and excitedly. As for the Supreme Being Saint's faction, Fuko Seiko's faction, Ji Xiao's faction, Flaming Sky Saint's faction, and Shuatan's faction, their expressions were unsightly. Some people's faces were gloomy, some sighed, and some were already thinking about how to rely on a new backer. According to the rules, Lu Ming helped Ouyang Qingxiang participate in the competition. Therefore, Ouyang Qingxiang has won this competition. I hereby announce that Ouyang Qingxiang will be the future Zongzi and my successor. Dragon Zhoushan announced again. The scene suddenly became silent, and everyone's gaze focused on Ouyang Qingxiang. Congratulations, Ouyang Zongzi! Standing on the fighting ring, Lu Ming cupped his fists from afar. Congratulations, Ouyang Zongzi! Following that, Ouyang Qingxiang's faction and Lu Ming's faction congratulated Ouyang Qingxiang. Chapter 2881. As for the other factions, they unwillingly congratulated Ouyang Qingxiang. After that, the Dragon Mountain announced that they would hold a conferring ceremony for Ouyang Qingxiang. As for Supremacy Dong and the others, they had already left with the Supremacy Saint. The conferring ceremony lasted for 3 days before it ended. After this incident, Lu Ming's reputation reached its peak, even overshadowing the Zongzi and Ouyang Qingxiang. Everyone knew that Lu Ming's talent was too high. Even if he wasn't a Zongzi, he would definitely be the true overlord of the Kongxian school in the future. Even if Ouyang Qingxiang really became the sect master, her influence wouldn't be higher than Lu Ming's. Therefore, in the following days, a large number of people began to seek refuge with Lu Ming's faction. Although Lu Ming didn't become a Zongzi, the strength of his faction grew stronger. Of course, there were also many who sought refuge with Ouyang Qingxiang. After all, Ouyang Qingxiang was a Zongzi and would be in charge of the Kongxian school in the future. Within the short span of half a year, a large number of people had pledged allegiance to Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. Many of these people belonged to other saints and saintesses. The power of the two of them had skyrocketed, far surpassing that of the Paragon Saint, the Floating Light Saint, and the rest. Just like that, a few more years passed. In these few years, Lu Ming focused on cultivating and polishing his foundation. It was worth mentioning that Autumn Moon's improvement was godly. She had broken through 2 realms consecutively and was not far from the 9th level True God realm. As for Qiuqiu, ever since it swallowed the bronze altar fragment in the ancient god realm, it had been in a deep sleep and hadn't woken up. On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating when he suddenly opened his eyes. Immediately after, numerous runes appeared on his body. They were densely packed, and they were like small snakes swimming around his body. The Nether Dragon Blood Curse. Is the Dragon Mountain summoning me? Lu Ming frowned. The Nether Dragon Blood Curse had always been a big concern in his heart. Senior Bone Demon, have you not thought of a way to break the Nether Dragon Blood Curse? Lu Ming asked Bone Demon for guidance. A few years ago, Lu Ming had also asked the Bone Demon for guidance on how to break the Nether Dragon Blood Curse. However, The bone demon did not give an effective method. Difficult. This nether dragon blood curse is incomparably mysterious. The headmaster of your Kongshan school is definitely not ordinary. He most likely has a great secret on him. Bone demon's figure appeared on the scroll. Is there really no other way? Lu Ming muttered. It's a pity that I don't have any cultivation right now. Otherwise, I would have a solution. Also, I don't know why Long Zhoushan placed the nether dragon blood curse on you. If I knew his goal, I would be able to find a way to break it. Gu Emo said. Lu Ming nodded. The only thing they could do now was wait. After a while, the nether dragon blood curse on his body gradually disappeared. At this time, a person came to Lu Ming's courtyard. Holy Son Lu Ming, is the sect master looking for you? The person who had come was an inner court elder. His voice echoed throughout the courtyard. All right. Lu Ming walked out of the courtyard, nodded, and followed the elder. Not long after, he arrived at a large hall. The elder then left. Long Zhoushan was waiting in the hall. As soon as Lu Ming arrived, Long Zhoushan carefully sized up Lu Ming. The more he looked, the more satisfied he was. Long Zhoushan, why did you call for me? Lu Ming asked with a solemn expression. He did not have a good attitude towards Long Zhoushan. Not bad, not bad. Lu Ming, your speed of improvement has exceeded my expectations. Good, very good. Long Zhoushan nodded repeatedly. You didn't call me here just to praise me, right? Lu Ming said coldly. Of course not. What I want to say is that your cultivation speed is still too slow. Now, I will give you 10 years. You must reach the heavenly god realm within 10 years. Otherwise, I will activate the nether dragon blood curse and kill you. Do you understand? Long Zhoushan suddenly said with a cold expression. Wisps of killing intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. His cultivation speed was already extremely shocking, but Long Zhoushan actually said that he was too slow and wanted him to reach the heavenly god realm within 10 years. This was something that was almost impossible. There was a huge gap between the true god realm and the heavenly god realm. Countless people were blocked by this gap, unable to cross it in their entire lives. Even some geniuses would need a long time of accumulation and the support of fortuitous opportunities if they wanted to cross it. Breaking through to the heavenly god realm in 10 years was practically impossible. How is it possible to break through to the heavenly god realm in 10 years? Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, you only have one path. If you can't do it, then die. Long Zhoushan sneered. Creak. Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. If not for the fact that he was not Long Zhoushan's match, he would have killed him on the spot. Lu Ming, ask him why he placed the nether dragon blood curse on you. At this moment, Gumo's voice was transmitted into Lu Ming's spiritual consciousness. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, but his expression did not change. He looked coldly at Long Zhoushan and said, Long Zhoushan, what is your motive for placing the nether dragon blood curse on me? You don't need to know that. Long Zhoushan waved his hand. Long Zhoushan, you don't dare to tell me your motive. I guess your motive will be detrimental to me. If I'm not wrong, I'll be of great use to you when I reach the heavenly god realm, but I'll most likely die. Since I'm going to die anyway, rather than waiting for you to use me to death, I might as well be killed by you now so that I won't fulfill your wish. Lu Ming said coldly. You dare? Long Zhoushan said coldly. What's there to be afraid of? At most I'll die. Lu Ming shouted as a violent aura exploded from his body. He looked like he was going to fight Long Zhoushan to the death. All right, I'll tell you. Long Zhoushan frowned and raised his hand. A powerful force crushed Lu Ming's aura as he said, coldly. Lu Ming's aura fell. Lu Ming, you're right. After you reach the heavenly god realm, I do have something that I need your help with. There's no harm in telling you. I placed the nether dragon blood curse on you to nurture it. The stronger your cultivation, the stronger the nether dragon blood curse will be. When you reach the heavenly god realm, the nether dragon blood curse in your body will be extremely powerful. I can use it to break a formation. Long Joshan said. What formation? Lu Ming asked. Long Joshan frowned, but then he smiled and said, The rising dragon formation. All right, I've told you everything I need to tell you. Go down and work hard. Remember, you only have 10 years. If you can't reach the heavenly god realm in 10 years, there's no use for me to keep you. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes as he turned around and left. Watching Lu Ming leave, Long Joshan's eyes flashed with malevolence. Brat, you want to know my motive and find a way to break it? But what's the use of knowing my motive? Your fate has already been decided. He. Hurry up and break through. Once you reach the heavenly god realm, I'll regain my freedom. Chapter 2882. Long Joshan's sinister laughter reverberated in the main hall. Lu Ming had already left the main hall and returned to his residence. Senior Bone Devil, do you know about the soaring dragon formation? Once he was back, Lu Ming asked Bone Demon. Of course I know about the soaring dragon formation. Ha. So it's the soaring dragon formation. I know what that brat wants to do. Bone Devil laughed. Senior Bone Devil, do you know Long Joshan's true goal? Lu Ming's heart stirred as he asked. Correct. If I'm not wrong, Long Joshan placed the nether dragon blood curse in your body to use you to refine the nether dragon blood curse, and then use it to save someone trapped by the soaring dragon formation. Furthermore, I'm guessing that your sect master is no longer the real person. Bone Devil said. No longer the real person? Lu Ming was flabbergasted. Correct. His soul has probably been extinguished long ago. Right now, his body is only occupied by someone else. If I'm not wrong, the one occupying his body is the existence trapped by the soaring dragon formation. He wants to use you to escape and regain his freedom. Once he succeeds, you, kid, will fall with him. Bone Devil's analysis was clear and logical. It was as if he had seen through everything. So it's like that. Hearing Bone Devil's analysis, Lu Ming was truly stunned. He hadn't expected that the real Long Joshan had died long ago. The current Long Joshan was only a body occupied by someone else. As expected, he doesn't have good intentions. Lu Ming's gaze was cold. Long Joshan's goal was indeed to sacrifice him to save him. Senior Bone Devil, do you have a countermeasure? Lu Ming asked. Since I know his goal, I naturally have a countermeasure. We still have 10 years. Lu Ming, do as I say. First, you need to buy some materials to refine a formation plate. When the time comes, we'll fight him. Bone Devil said. Then a list of materials appeared in Lu Ming's mind. These materials. Lu Ming was startled. He had never heard of many of the materials Bone Devil gave him. Brat, hurry up and get these materials, Guemo said. Lu Ming nodded and left. He also left the Kongshan school and headed for the Myriad Spirit Star. The Myriad Spirit Star was the gathering place of the entire Qin Tian Starfield's Chamber of Commerce. Here, all sorts of rare and strange materials could be purchased. After coming to the Myriad Spirit Star, Lu Ming finally bought most of the materials he needed after many inquiries. However, there were still 3 materials that he did not buy. These 3 materials were all extremely rare and precious materials that were rarely seen in the world. These 3 materials were the bones of the 9-clawed dragon, the evil eye stone, and the wild grass. 9-clawed dragon's bones? Where are we supposed to find them? Senior 9 dragons died long ago. Lu Ming frowned. I wonder if the divine 9-dragon cauldron contains the bones of the 9-clawed dragon. Lu Ming suddenly thought of the divine 9-dragon cauldron. The divine 9-dragon cauldron was forged by the 9 dragons and the ancestor dragon with all their strength. It was only a little bit away from being promoted to a divine weapon. It was the natal treasure of the 9 dragons. A natal magic treasure was usually forged from one's own flesh, blood, and bones. Only then would it be able to display its strongest power. Back in the heaven realm, the divine 9-dragon cauldron had helped Lu Ming a lot. However, Since Lu Ming came to the chaotic universe, his battle strength had skyrocketed. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was no longer useful to Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not throw it away. Instead, he kept it. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand and the divine nine-dragon cauldron flew out from a storage ring. Senior Guillemot, take a look at these 9 cauldrons. Do they contain the bones of the 9-clawed dragon? Lu Ming asked Guillemot. Guillemot flew out from between Lu Ming's eyebrows and stopped above the divine nine-dragon cauldron to examine it carefully. Yes, these 9 cauldrons contain the bones of the 9-clawed dragon. The foundation of these 9 cauldrons is the bones of the 9-clawed dragon. Guillemot nodded repeatedly. It's true. Lu Ming was also very surprised. He had only guessed it previously. He did not expect it to be true. He could imagine that the 9-clawed dragon had paid a huge price to forge this cauldron. It had actually used its own bones to forge this cauldron. Lu Ming was overjoyed. With this, out of the 3 materials that were the hardest to find, Lu Ming was only left with 2. Lu Ming came to a place that specialized in gathering information. After asking around and paying a huge price, Lu Ming finally found out the whereabouts of the last 2 materials. The Evil Eye Stone is in an evil family in the Chong-Su Galaxy. Let's go to this family first. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Following that, Lu Ming took the transportation array and rushed towards the Chong-Su Galaxy. The Chong-Su Galaxy's Luo family. On the surface, it looked like a normal family of cultivators. However, it was secretly an evil family. The cultivation technique that they cultivated was extremely evil. They specialized in digging out the eyes of other cultivators to cultivate their evil technique. Lu Ming had also paid a huge price before he managed to find out about this from the force that was investigating the news. Such a family doesn't need to exist anymore. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. After a long journey, Lu Ming arrived at the Luo family. Boom! Lu Ming appeared in the sky above the Luo family, and a vast aura erupted. Who dares to appear in the sky above my Luo family? A loud shout was heard, and a few burly men flew out. These burly men were all peak true gods. When they saw that Lu Ming was also a peak true god, they immediately revealed a ferocious expression. Kid, who are you? Tell us honestly, or you won't be able to leave. One of the burly men shouted. His evil eyes stared at Lu Ming's eyes, revealing a greedy look. He wanted to dig out Lu Ming's eyes to cultivate. I'm the one who will kill you, Lu Ming said coldly. Then a violent divine power gushed out towards the other party. Lu Ming's divine power was extremely strong. To these burly men, it was like a raging tsunami. As the divine power crushed through, the burly men cried out in pain. Their bodies were crushed into pieces by Lu Ming's divine power. Finally, they turned into ashes and dissipated in the air. They were all peak true gods, but other peak true gods were like ants in front of Lu Ming. How dare you kill the people of the Luo family? You're just a true god. You're courting death. Kill him. At this moment, the entire Luo family was in an uproar. Many powerful auras soared into the sky. Many powerful figures dashed into the sky and charged toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's expression was calm. He had already asked around. The strongest person in the Luo family was only a 4th-level heavenly god. All the heavenly gods added together were only slightly more than 30 people. They were not worthy of Lu Ming's attention at all. Roar! A roar came out of Lu Ming's mouth. Then Lu Ming unleashed his ancient god body. He turned into a giant ancient god and charged towards the experts of the Luo family. With a swing of his spear, a large number of experts of the Luo family exploded and died on the spot. Chapter 2883. The Luo family's experts were nothing to Lu Ming. After a while, Lu Ming left the Luo family with a cold expression. The Luo family had turned into a sea of flames. All of the Luo family's experts had been killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming would not show the slightest bit of mercy to this evil family. In the Luo family's core treasury, Lu Ming successfully found an evil eye stone. The evil eye stone was the Luo family's treasure. It was easy to find. Now, only the last type of desolate grass was left. The desolate grass was in the desolate mountain range of Lu Huang Galaxy. This was an extremely special mountain range. This mountain range wasn't located on a planet, but the entire mountain range was suspended in the starry sky. The mountain range was incomparably huge, and there was a terrifying domain on it. No matter what life form entered, it would be difficult to fly. However, the desolate mountain range contained rich resources. There were many precious divine herbs growing there. The desolate grass was an extremely rare and precious divine herb. Even in the desolate mountain range, it was extremely rare and valuable. It was a treasure that couldn't be bought with money. Thus, many cultivators would come here to explore and search for treasures all year round. Lu Ming was flying in the starry sky on his interstellar battleship. In front of him, a huge mountain range appeared. From afar, it looked like a huge dragon was coiling in the starry sky. The vast universe is truly mysterious. Lu Ming sighed. At this time, Lu Ming discovered that there were also streams of light flying towards the desolate mountain range, like meteors. Of course, these weren't meteors, but experts. Some experts were riding on interstellar battleships, while others relied on their physical bodies to fly. Those who could rely on their physical bodies to travel through the starry sky were at least heavenly gods. Swish! Suddenly, a figure rapidly flew from behind Lu Ming's interstellar battleship. It was a burly man. His body was covered in muscles, and his appearance was ferocious. Scram, you ant! Don't block the way! When the burly man passed by Lu Ming, he directly sent a palm strike towards Lu Ming's interstellar battleship. Dong! The starry sky battleship trembled violently and was sent flying. Ha ha ha! The burly man laughed out loud, glanced at Lu Ming disdainfully, and walked away. In his opinion, a person riding on a space battleship was most likely someone below the heavenly god realm. He did not care at all. This guy! Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he watched the burly man leave. In the end, he didn't make a move. He continued to control the starry sky battleship and flew towards the desolate mountain range. Why are there so many people? Lu Ming looked around and revealed a strange expression. Outside the huge desolate mountain range, there were many strong warriors of different races floating in the air. There were more than 10,000 of them. In the past, although there were people who came to the desolate mountain range to search for treasures, there would not be so many of them. Approaching the chaotic, desolate mountain range, Lu Ming left the starry sky battleship and floated in the starry sky. Senior, may I ask what happened here? Why are there so many people? Lu Ming came to the side of a white-haired old man and asked with cupped fists. The others were not surprised. Ninth-level true god realm experts could stay in the starry sky for a while, but they couldn't cross the starry sky and fly from one planet to another. You don't know. The old man looked at Lu Ming in surprise. I don't know. Lu Ming shook his head. There's no harm in telling you. Recently, I heard that the heart of desolation appeared in the desolate mountain range. That's why it attracted so many people. These people are all here for the heart of desolation. The old man said with a smile. He looked friendly. Heart of desolation. Lu Ming revealed a confused expression. He had never heard of the heart of desolation before. The heart of desolation. There's actually the heart of desolation here. Ha ha ha, the heavens are helping me. No, the heavens are helping you. Lu Ming, you must get the heart of desolation. The heart of desolation can completely replace the desolation grass, and its effect is several times stronger than the desolation grass. The formation plate made from it will be more powerful. Gu Emo laughed out loud when he heard about the heart of desolation. He was extremely excited. It's several times better than the desolation grass. There was a look of anticipation in Lu Ming's eyes. This time, he must succeed in dealing with the Dragon Mountain. Therefore, he must get the heart of desolation. Young man, there are many experts here. I see that you're only a peak true god realm. How about this? Let's form a team and explore the desolate mountain range together, the old man suggested. Form a team? Lu Ming's eyes moved. That's right. Look, the others are forming teams. It's dangerous to enter the desolate mountain range alone. The old man pointed ahead. Lu Ming looked ahead. There were already people entering the desolate mountain range in groups of 3 to 5. All right, Lu Ming pondered for a while and nodded. The old man's cultivation was only at level 3, Heavenly God Realm. Lu Ming did not think highly of him. However, the desolate mountain range was huge. It would be like looking for a needle in a haystack if he were to search for the heart of desolation alone. If he were to form a team with others, the chances of finding the heart of desolation would be higher. Great. Let's find more people to form a team. The old man smiled and went to greet the others. Not long after, the old man found another 6 people to form a team with. These 6 people were all at the celestial god realm. Lu Ming was the only one at the true god realm. Sankei, why did you find a true god realm expert to go with us? He's going to be a burden to us. A woman in her 30s glanced at Lu Ming coldly and said unhappily. This lady was extremely seductive and had an amazing figure. However, she looked high and mighty and looked down on Lu Ming. This little brother is a friend of mine. Everyone, please give this old man some face and let this little brother join us, the old man said. The old man was called Sankei. He said with a smile, since he's your friend, I'll give him some face. However, I have to make it clear that I won't care if he's in danger after entering the desolate mountain range. We can't be dragged down by a true god realm trash. The seductive woman said. Lu Ming smiled faintly, not bothering to take issue with the other party. This woman was only a level 1 heavenly god realm expert. He wondered why she was looking down on a true god realm expert. The others glanced at Lu Ming coldly and ignored Lu Ming. In their opinion, there was no need to be concerned about a true god. If they were in danger, they could just abandon him. All right. Sankei smiled apologetically. The 8 of them then flew toward the desolate mountain range. Chapter 2884. The desolate mountain range had an extremely powerful domain. The closer one was to the front, the stronger the domain. Hence, to enter the desolate mountain range, one had to enter from the back. After entering the mountain range, the effect of the domain would be greatly reduced. This way, one could follow the mountain range and slowly enter the depths of the desolate mountain range. Hence, when one entered the desolate mountain range, they would enter from the back. Lu Ming's group of 8 flew in from the back. As soon as they entered the desolate mountain range, Lu Ming felt a powerful domain acting on him. It almost dragged Lu Ming down into the mountain range. They quickly circulated their divine power to resist the domain and slowly landed on the ground. Roar! As soon as they landed, there was a loud roar. It was a desolate beast. There were many desolate beasts living in the desolate mountain range. Some of them were very strong. However, this one was only a level 9 true god. A mere true god wants to sneak up on me? You're courting death. The bewitching woman shouted coldly. A sword gleam flashed, and the wild beast was split into 2 halves. Thereafter, she cast a cold glance at Lu Ming, as if to say that it was useless to see it. A true god realm was so weak. Lu Ming could not be bothered with this woman. In Lu Ming's heart, this woman was a fool. Being ignored by Lu Ming, the seductive lady's eyes flashed coldly. A mere true god dared to ignore her. He really did not know his place. Follow me, Sankei said, and then walked in a direction. The group followed Sankei forward. Along the way, they were attacked by desolate beasts from time to time. However, the desolate beasts here were not very high level. Most of them were below the heavenly god realm. There were not many heavenly gods. To Lu Ming and the rest, They were not a threat and were easily killed. After half a day, they were already a few million miles into the desolate mountain range. At this point, the domain of the desolate mountain range was already very strong. The pressure was getting stronger. Not to mention flying, it was difficult to even circulate divine power here. At this moment, they came to a huge valley. At this point, Sankei suddenly stopped. Sankei, why aren't you moving? Do you know where the heart of desolation is? A burly man asked. Hee. Sankei laughed strangely as his gaze swept past Lu Ming and the others, and he said, I don't know where the heart of chaos is, but I know that all of you are about to die. Hee. Among the 7 people, except for Lu Ming, the expressions of the others changed. Sankei, what do you mean by that? What do you want? The seductive woman glared at Sankei. What are you doing? Very simple. Hand over all the treasures on you, and I can leave your corpses intact. Otherwise, I can only feed you to the desolate beasts. Sankei sneered. Sankei, sure enough, you didn't bring us here with good intentions. However, you think that you can kill us? That's ridiculous. A big man said coldly, his body giving off a powerful aura. Level 4 Heavenly God. This burly man was a 4th level celestial god, which was even higher than Sank's 3rd level celestial god. The burly man's powerful aura pressed down on Sankei, but Sank's expression didn't change at all. Instead, the killing intent in his eyes intensified. Come out, Sankei yelled. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Following Sank's voice, a few figures suddenly dashed out from the valley. There were 11 figures in total. Their speed was shocking as they surrounded Lu Ming and his crew in just a few flashes. Sankei, you've set up an ambush here. You've set us up. Damn it. The seductive woman, the burly man, and the others yelled in astonishment. At this point, no matter how stupid they were, they understood what was going on. Sankei had asked them to team up with him to set them up. He had planned it all along. He had asked the others to set up an ambush here to rob them of their treasures. They had been tricked. It's him. Lu Ming wore a calm expression, but his eyes flickered with murderous intent when he saw one of the burly men. The burly man was the one who had attacked Lu Ming's galaxy battleship. He was the one who had attacked Lu Ming's galaxy battleship. Lu Ming was not too bothered at the time, but he did not expect to stumble into the burly man again, who was trying to rob him together with Sankei and his crew. He could not help but say that enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Hand over your treasures, so we won't have to do it ourselves, Sankei said with a hollow laugh. However, no one dared to move. Who would hand over their treasures so easily? Why are we wasting our time talking to them? Let's just kill them to prevent any unexpected events from happening. The burly man who had attacked Lu Ming before snapped coldly and unleashed a powerful aura. The burly man was also a 4th-layer Heaven God realm cultivator. As a matter of fact, there were 6 4th-layer Heaven Gods among the group. Meanwhile, Lu Ming's crew only had 1 4th-layer Heaven God realm cultivator. The difference was too huge. You want me to hand over my treasures? In your dreams. On Lu Ming's side, the 4th-layer Heaven God yelled and dashed to the side with all his might. Bang! He blasted out with a fist, his aura exploding as he crushed forward. He wanted to carve out a bloody path to escape. You're courting death. A few experts on the other side yelled and attacked the burly man at the same time. These people were all 4th-layer celestial gods. They worked together to attack the burly man, using terrifying killing moves. The burly man was no match for the 3 of them. 2 of the attacks landed on the burly man, who let out a cry of agony and was sent flying. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and was half dead. The seductive woman and her crew were as pale as snow, without a trace of blood. Even the strongest among them was almost killed by a single move. They were even more hopeless now. Many of them wore looks of despair. Brothers Sankei, brothers, as long as you don't kill me, I'll agree to anything you want. The seductive woman wore a seductive smile as she twisted her slender waist seductively and glanced at Sankei and his crew. Bitch, piss off. Your move is useless against us. Attack, kill them. Sankei snapped coldly. In their line of work, they would never leave anyone alive. It was useless, no matter how seductive the woman was. Bang, bang. Sankei and his crew made their moves. Kid, I'll be the first to send you on your way. Sank's eyes flickered coldly as he stared at Lu Ming. He was the first to charge at Lu Ming. His blood-red claws were grabbing at Lu Ming's heart. However, after a flash of cold light, Sank's body stiffened. His eyes widened in disbelief. That was because his heart had been pierced through by a spear. Of course, Lu Ming was the one who stabbed the spear. Chapter 2885. You! Sankei stared at Lu Ming in disbelief, before wearing a terrified expression. He never thought that Lu Ming, who was only a 9th-layer true God Realm cultivator, would be so fast. He did not even see how Lu Ming attacked. Lu Ming's spear had already pierced through his heart. He knew that he had encountered a terrifying genius, a genius whose battle prowess could not be measured by his cultivation level. Spare me! Sankei was bleeding profusely as he begged Lu Ming for mercy. Be on your way, Lu Ming said coldly. With a shudder of his spear, Sank's body was torn into pieces, dying on the spot. Kid, you're courting death. The bulky man who attacked Lu Ming's worship roared and charged at Lu Ming. His aura of the 4th-layer heaven god realm surged at Lu Ming, trying to kill Lu Ming. Godly dragon image, Lu Ming uttered in a deep voice. Following this, 2 9-clawed dragons appeared in the sky. The 9-clawed dragons lunged at the bulky man. The 2 9-clawed dragons had a total of 18 claws, tearing through the sky with shocking power. The bulky man's expression changed rapidly. His palm turned pitch black as he slashed at the claws of the 9-clawed dragons. Bang, bang, bang. Terrifying collisions took place continuously. In just an instant, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. The bulky man's expression changed tremendously as he was knocked back while vomiting blood. He was severely injured. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, even if he did not transform into the ancient god flesh, the battle character art alone was enough to amplify his strength by 4 times. It was not something that the bulky man could resist. Roar! Roar! The 2 9-clawed dragons roared and continued to lunge at each other, tearing the bulky man into pieces. How is this possible? Lu Ming had killed 2 experts in a row, and the others were finally shocked. They cried out in alarm one after another, their faces full of disbelief. Originally, when they saw that Lu Ming was only at true God Realm cultivation base, they did not place Lu Ming in their eyes at all. At this moment, Lu Ming erupted with unimaginable battle prowess, causing them to be incomparably terrified. Okay. The seductive woman and the others were at a loss for words at first, but they were soon overjoyed. Lu Ming actually had such strong combat strength. They were saved. Kill! Lu Ming changed his direction and roared. Another 9-clawed dragon appeared in the air. A total of 3 9-clawed dragons pounced towards the others. At the same time, Lu Ming brandished his long spear and used the 3 strikes of annihilation to attack another person. Puff! The crescent-shaped spear light slashed down, splitting a 4th-level celestial god into 2. Then, the 3 9-clawed dragon worked together to kill the other 4th-level celestial god. It was a complete suppression. Go quickly! The others turned pale with fright and frantically retreated, running for their lives in all directions. Lu Ming charged forward and killed another 2 people. He did not continue to pursue them. Soon, those people disappeared into the vast mountains. The seductive woman and the others looked at Lu Ming with eyes full of shock and horror. They knew that they had encountered a peerless genius. Lu Ming, thank you for your help just now. I can't thank you enough. The few of them thanked Lu Ming one after another. Lu Ming, you're really amazing. Sister had misjudged you previously. Sister apologizes to you. The seductive woman's gaze turned and smiled sweetly. She swayed her slender waist and walked towards Lu Ming. She even threw a flirtatious glance at Lu Ming, as if she was going to seduce Lu Ming. Lu Ming glanced at the other party indifferently. He was too lazy to say anything and turned around to leave. This woman had a snobbish look. Previously, when she saw that Lu Ming was only in the true God realm, she mocked and ridiculed him. Now that she saw Lu Ming's shocking strength, she immediately threw herself at Lu Ming. It could be said that she was extremely shameless. Brother Lu Ming, where are you going? Sister will go with you. The seductive woman immediately followed Lu Ming. Get lost. Lu Ming turned around and shouted coldly. His eyes were sharp and emitted a cold, murderous intent. The seductive woman turned pale with fright and stopped in her tracks, not daring to come closer. Lu Ming's figure flashed and turned into a ray of light, leaving the place. This Lu Ming must be an exceptional genius from the Qin Tian 13 sects, or even the 3 overlords. We misjudged him previously. That's right. Such people have high standards. You want to seduce someone like you? You're delusional. The others looked at the seductive woman with ridicule, making her feel so ashamed that she was about to bleed. After Lu Ming set off alone, he headed towards the depths of the chaotic Desolation mountain range. Along the way, there were no mishaps. Soon, Lu Ming was halfway into the chaotic Desolation mountain range. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed that there were people rushing in a certain direction. Lu Ming's eyes moved, and he followed in that direction. After flying for a while, a lake appeared in front of him. There were many people gathered around the lake. Everyone was staring at the lake. Could it be that the heart of desolation is here? Lu Ming pondered. Splash! The lake water rolled and waves surged, creating 1,000 layers of waves. Then a shocking scene appeared. Suddenly, a violent explosion erupted from the bottom of the lake, causing the entire lake's water to be blasted into the sky. The lake water splashed everywhere, revealing a dark cave underneath. Rumble! Under the cave, tentacles suddenly stretched out. However, these tentacles were not the tentacles of living creatures. They were formed by energy. After waving them, they looked like paths in the sky. There were a total of 81 paths. This is the path of vitality. The heart of desolation is inside. Only by stepping on the path of vitality can one enter the cave and obtain the heart of desolation. Someone shouted, "The heart of desolation is mine." Let's go. Immediately, someone rushed towards the path of vital energy and landed steadily on it. Why? Why can't I step on it? I can't either. I understand now. A path of vitality can only accommodate one person. Once one person steps on it, the other person can't go on. Someone noticed something fishy. Once one person stepped onto the path of origin chi, if the others wanted to continue, they would be blocked by a powerful force, blocking them outside the path of origin chi. A path of vitality could only accommodate one person. There were a total of 81 paths, and only 81 people could enter the cave. However, there were a few thousand people here. Among the few thousand people, only 81 people could enter. After figuring this out, everyone's eyes were burning with passion. Then they attacked one after another. This path is mine. Get lost. Someone erupted with power, unleashing a powerful attack, attacking the person who stepped on that path. Although they couldn't enter, they could attack from the outside without any hindrance. Ah, a scream was heard. On one of the path of vitality, a person with a lower cultivation base was killed directly. Blood splattered on the path of vitality. Chapter 2886. A chaotic battle broke out. Thousands of people dashed towards the 81 paths of origin chi and started a bloody battle. Get lost, this path is mine. You're the one who should get lost, Dai. The heart of desolation was extremely precious. Many people's eyes turned red as they dashed towards the 81 paths of origin chi. Blood splattered everywhere as cries of agony were heard. A large number of true God Realm experts died in an instant. The remaining true God Realm experts finally came to their senses and retreated in fear, withdrawing from the battle. They understood that they couldn't compete with the heavenly gods with their cultivation base. Otherwise, death would be the only outcome. However, there were still many heavenly gods. The battle became even more intense. However, some of them had extremely high cultivation bases, reaching the 7th layer heavenly god realm. 7th layer heavenly gods were definitely the strongest among these people. Their god force was like a tidal wave. With a single punch, several people were killed. No one could stop them. There were more than a dozen of them, occupying more than 10 paths of origin chi. In addition, some 6th layer heavenly gods were extremely terrifying. They suppressed the crowd and occupied some paths of origin chi. The strongest competitors were those at the 5th and 4th level of the heavenly god realm. There were many of them, more than 81 of them. They knew that they couldn't win against those at the 6th and 7th level of the heavenly god realm. Therefore, they gathered at the other paths, and the competition was intense. Lu Ming didn't make a move at first. After a while, he flew towards one of the paths of origin chi. This true god realm kid dares to go up, he's courting death. His greed is too strong, he won't live for long. Some true god realm experts saw Lu Ming and mocked him, as if they were waiting to watch a good show. Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. He had already arrived at the entrance of one of the paths of origin chi. A true god realm kid dares to join in the fun, he's courting death. A heavenly god realm man threw a punch at Lu Ming, creating a terrifying whistling sound. "Get lost," Lu Ming coldly shouted, activating the battle's secret art to increase his battle prowess by 4 times. His long spear trembled, and he thrust it towards his opponent. When the spear collided with the opponent's fist, an intense explosion rang out. The burly man's fist energy was instantly destroyed. His body violently trembled, and he retreated, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. How is this possible? The others were dumbfounded, especially those true god realm people who mocked Lu Ming. They were even more dumbfounded. This brat, a true god realm, actually has such powerful strength. Kill him first. An old man shouted loudly and charged towards Lu Ming, his aura berserk. This person was shockingly a 5th level heavenly god. "Get lost, get lost," Lu Ming shouted as he stepped forward. With each step, a 9-clawed dragon would appear above his head. After 3 steps, 3 9-clawed dragons had appeared above his head. The 3 9-clawed dragons roared furiously as they charged towards their opponent. At the same time, 9 ice chains appeared on Lu Ming's body, wrapping around his opponent and emitting a shocking chill. Before transforming into his ancient god body, Lu Ming had to use all his strength against a 5th level heavenly god. World extinguishing, 3 strikes, moon slashing. Holding the spear with both hands, he threw out 3 consecutive strikes. 3 crescent-shaped spear lights slashed towards his opponent. Boom, boom, boom. The 2 clashed, and an intense battle ensued. For a moment, it was difficult for them to split their attention. However, the others took the opportunity to rush towards the path of origin chi. "Brat, I won't fight with you anymore." The old man exchanged a blow with Lu Ming, and his figure retreated, heading towards a path of origin chi. Lu Ming also followed, joining the others in a chaotic battle. This path had 3 5th level heavenly gods, 4 4th level heavenly gods, and Lu Ming. The 8 of them fought fiercely. Those below the 4th level heavenly god realm were not strong enough to join the battle. The 8 of them fought in a chaotic battle. A few 4th level heavenly gods could still hold on for a while, but soon they could not hold on any longer. One of them was struck in the vitals by a 5th level heavenly god realm expert, dying on the spot. Moon slashing. Lu Ming threw out a blow, severely injuring a 4th level Heavenly God Realm expert. The remaining 4th level Heavenly Gods retreated with a solemn expression. Only 3 4th level Heavenly Gods were left on this path, including Lu Ming, and they were still fighting. Lu Ming did not plan to use his ancient god body. The ancient god body was his trump card, and he could not use it easily. After all, there would definitely be more terrifying battles on this path of origin chi. If they really encountered the heart of chaos, a bloody battle would be unavoidable. Lu Ming only used various skills, the ice shackles and the godly dragon aspect technique, to fight against the enemies. Such a battle consumed a lot of their god force. After exchanging more than 100 blows, the others were running out of god force, but Lu Ming was still full of energy. Lu Ming gradually gained the upper hand. Meanwhile, the 7th and 6th level heavenly gods had already entered the depths of the cave. The other 3 were starting to get anxious. This kid is too strange. He has such a strong god force with only the cultivation of the true god realm. Why don't the 3 of us team up and take him down, then decide the winner? The other 3 5th level heavenly gods planned to team up to deal with Lu Ming first. The 3 of them had the same idea. They immediately joined forces and attacked Lu Ming. I was planning to save my trump card, but I'll fulfill your wish now. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. His body began to expand rapidly. Lu Ming began to execute the ancient god technique to transform into the ancient god flesh. However, Lu Ming did not fully execute the ancient god technique, nor did he transform into a cyan-armored ancient god. He only transformed into the 2nd level, the orange-armored ancient god. His height was only around 30 meters. This way, he could save a lot of energy. Even after transforming into an orange-armored ancient god, Lu Ming's strength skyrocketed. He swung his spear and sent a 5th level heavenly god flying. Kill! Lu Ming took big strides forward and charged toward the elder. His violent attacks were like a storm pouring down on the elder. How is this possible? The old man was shocked. He tried his best to defend himself, but he could not stop Lu Ming. After barely managing to defend himself, Lu Ming killed him with a single spear strike. Following this, Lu Ming attacked the other 2. The other 2 turned pale with fright, not daring to stop Lu Ming at all. They retreated far away. Lu Ming landed on the vital chi path and strode forward. No one stopped him. This is also too strong, right? Is this still the realm of the true God realm? Those true God realm existences in the distance were all staring wide-eyed and tongue-tied, unable to react for a moment. Some people were unbelievably discouraged. Similarly, in the true God realm, the disparity between them and Lu Ming was too great. They did not know whether it was them who were too useless or Lu Ming who was too freakish. Lu Ming could not be bothered with these people's thoughts. He ran at high speed, following the vital chi path, deep into the cave. Chapter 2887. After running for a while on the path of vitality, Lu Ming used the ancient god tactic to shrink his body and revert to his normal form. Maintaining the ancient god body consumed a lot of stamina. There was probably going to be a big battle later, so he needed to conserve his stamina. He did not know where the vital energy path came from. Lu Ming followed the vital energy path and walked for thousands of miles before he finally reached the end. In front of him, there was a huge bubble floating in the dark void. Tentacles extended from the bubble. These tentacles were the 81 origin chi roads under their feet. Lu Ming's eyes were instantly attracted by something in the middle of the bubble. It was a crystal that looked like a heart emitting a bright light. The heart of desolation. Lu Ming knew that it was the heart of desolation. However, no one fought for it. Those who came in earlier than Lu Ming stood at the end of the origin chi road, looking at the heart of desolation greedily. These people shouldn't be able to enter. Lu Ming pondered, but did not act rashly. However, even though Lu Ming did not move, the others did. There was a flash in the eyes of an old lady who entered at about the same time as Lu Ming. She took big strides forward and pounced toward the bubble. She wanted to dash into the bubble and grab the heart of desolation. The others watched with cold smiles on their faces. Bang! The old woman slammed into the air bubble. She slammed into it. With a scream, the old woman retreated. Her face was bruised, but her injuries were not serious. Stop dreaming. We can't enter this bubble now. One of them sneered. Why didn't you warn me? The old woman stared at that person with a gloomy face. Who do you think you are? Why should I warn you? That person sneered. You. The old woman gritted her teeth. However, her cultivation was not as good as the other party, so she did not dare to say anything. What should we do? Are we just going to look at the heart of desolation and not get it? Someone frowned. The heart of desolation has appeared before. I saw it recorded in an ancient book. At this moment, a white-haired old man spoke. You've seen the records. Then do you know how to obtain the heart of chaos? Someone's eyes lit up as he looked at the white-haired old man. I do know. There's no harm in telling you. The white-haired old man smiled faintly and said, the balloon outside the heart of chaos is formed by powerful energy. Every day, the energy will extend into 81 paths of energy. Every time, only 80 people can follow the paths of energy to reach the center. Therefore, only when living beings have stepped onto all 81 paths of vitality will there be a way to obtain the heart of chaos. According to what you said, when the 81 paths of vitality are occupied, this bubble, which is the vitality morning and evening, will dissipate. Someone asked, in your dreams? Let me tell you all, not all 81 origin energy paths have people on them. You will not be able to obtain the heart of desolation. It is not that easy to break through origin energy day and night. You will still need some luck. The white-haired old man said. Why do you still need luck? Old man, can't you finish your sentence in one go? Someone said impatiently. What's the rush? Isn't there still a lot of origin energy paths that have not been reached yet? The white-haired old man replied faintly, then slowly said, if you want to break through origin energy day and night, you will need everyone to work together. Everyone on the 81 origin energy paths has to work together and pour their divine energy into origin energy day and night to activate origin energy pillars. Only by activating 999 origin energy pillars can one break through origin energy day and night. So it's that simple. I'll go first. A middle-aged man took the lead and walked to the origin energy day and night. His palm faced the origin energy day and night, and surging divine energy continuously poured into the origin energy day and night. 1. The origin energy day and night vibrated slightly, and then a certain part of it vibrated more and more violently. In the end, 100-meter-long origin energy pillar flew out, like a long snake dancing in the air. Again, the middle-aged man roared and continued to pour in divine energy. The origin energy day and night vibrated, and then 2 more origin energy pillars flew out. There were a total of 3 origin chi pillars, but at this point, there was no 4th origin chi pillar. Come out, come out. The middle-aged man roared and continued to pour in divine energy, but the origin energy day and night didn't move at all. So little? Only 3? Many people looked at each other. The middle-aged man was a 6th-level celestial god, but he could only stimulate 3 origin energy pillars. This made many people's hearts sink. In order to activate the origin energy day and night, 999 origin energy pillars were required, and there were only 81 of them. Based on this ratio, it was impossible to activate the origin energy day and night. The middle-aged man's face was red with shame. I'll do it. Following that, a middle-aged woman stepped forward and inserted her god force into the morning and evening pillar. She was also a 6th-level celestial god, but even with all her might, she could only activate 3 morning and evening pillars. This made many people's faces turn even uglier. Following that, a 7th-level celestial god stepped forward. But his situation wasn't any better. He could only stimulate 5 origin energy pillars. Everyone looked at each other. Based on this ratio, even if all 81 of them stepped forward, they wouldn't be able to activate more than 300 origin energy pillars. It was impossible to activate the origin energy day and night. Sigh, as expected. From what I know, the number of origin energy pillars activated is related to one's cultivation, but it's more related to one's talent. The higher one's talent is, the more origin energy pillars they can activate. In the past, every time the Heart of Desolation appeared, people would gather in the Desolation mountain range. However, very few people were able to get it because they couldn't open the vital energy day and night. Only after the news spread out and the chosen from the various sects and clans joined forces could they open the vital energy day and night. The white-haired old man from before sighed. When the geniuses of the various factions arrive, we won't have a chance. No matter what, we have to give it a try. I'll do it next. An old woman stepped forward and poured her divine energy into the origin energy day and night, unwilling to give up. This old woman was the strongest, and she managed to stimulate 6 origin energy pillars, but it was still a drop in the bucket. The others were unwilling to give up either. They stepped forward and poured their divine energy into the origin energy day and night. Origin energy pillars flew out like dancing snakes. However, some of the 5th-level celestial gods managed to stimulate even fewer origin energy pillars. Some only had 2, while others only had 1. Not long after, 80 of the 81 people had made their moves. Only Lu Ming had yet to make his move. The 80 people only had 251 origin energy day and night. It was 748 origin energy day and night to reach 999. Chapter 2888. Everyone's expression turned ugly. Sigh, it's still not enough. Only 251. The difference is too big. The Heart of Desolation is not fated with us. I guess only the joint efforts of many geniuses can open the morning and evening pillar. Many people sighed. Some glanced at Lu Ming and directly ignored him. There was still Lu Ming who had not made a move, but the crowd no longer held any hope. Lu Ming was a true immortal realm cultivator. It was already a miracle that he could reach this point. It was already not bad if he could stimulate 1 morning and evening pillar. Even if Lu Ming was young and had good talent, there were still more than 700 morning and evening pillars. There was no hope. Forget it. Someone shook his head and withdrew his divine power, retreating a dozen steps. Following that, the others also shook their heads and withdrew their divine power. The morning and evening pillars also disappeared. However, no one left because they were unwilling to accept this result. This is interesting. I wonder how many morning and evening pillars I can stimulate if I go up? Lu Ming pondered in his heart, revealing a trace of interest, and then stepped forward. When Lu Ming moved, many people's gazes turned to Lu Ming. This kid still wants to go up. We all failed, but he still wants to go up. Is he stupid? But speaking of which, it's not easy for this kid to reach this point with his true immortal realm cultivation. He might be a genius. Even if he's a genius, how many morning and evening pillars can he stimulate? 10, 20. Even if he can stimulate 100, it's useless. That's right. Guess how many morning and evening pillars this kid can stimulate? How many? This kid is so young and has such cultivation. He can still reach this point. His talent is definitely not weak. I'm guessing he can stimulate at least 10 morning and evening pillars. 10, maybe more. I'm guessing between 20 to 30. 20 to 30? That's too exaggerated. You have to know that we can only get 6 morning and evening pillars at most. Everyone discussed and began to guess how many morning and evening pillars Lu Ming could stimulate. As for Lu Ming, He had already walked to the morning and evening pillars. He stretched out a palm and placed it on the morning and evening pillars. His divine power slowly poured into the morning and evening pillars. Wang, Wang. The vital qi morning and evening suddenly vibrated violently. Then, pillars of vital qi formed and danced in the air. 36 snakes. In the instant that Lu Ming poured in his divine power, Lu Ming activated 36 pillars of vital qi. So much? Everyone else was stunned. Just now, some people had guessed that Lu Ming could trigger between 20 to 30, but some people felt that they had guessed too much. It would be very difficult for Lu Ming to do so. Unexpectedly, Lu Ming had only attacked for an instant, and Lu Ming had already stimulated 36 origin qi pillars. However, this did not stop. Following that, the vital energy vibrations became even more intense, producing loud rumbling sounds like the waves of a vast ocean. Hua, hua, hua. More origin qi pillars shot out from the origin qi morning and evening. This time, there were 360 of them. In addition to the previous 36, there were a total of 396. The sound of people inhaling cold air could be heard. Everyone's eyes were about to explode and they were tongue-tied. 396. Everyone looked at the 399 pillars of origin qi dancing in the air, thinking that they were dreaming. Heavens, a total of 396. How is this possible? How is this possible? How is he able to stimulate so many origin qi pillars? Unbelievable, a monster, a monster. This person is a peerless genius. If there were 3 of such people, they would be able to break through the origin qi morning and evening. Some people shouted in shock. The pillar of vitality that Lu Ming alone could activate was more than the pillar of vitality that the 80 of them could activate together. However, their shock was far from over. Dong, dong, dong. At this moment, Lu Ming's ancient god heart began to beat. Waves of ancient god aura poured into Lu Ming's palm and into the origin qi morning and evening. Wang, Wang, Wang. The origin qi morning and evening began to vibrate again. Following that, more origin qi pillars flew out. This time, more than 300 origin qi pillars were formed. In total, there were 700 origin qi pillars. There's more. The others were completely dumbfounded and stood there in a daze. 700 origin qi pillars. A total of 700 origin qi pillars. In history, the strongest genius could only stimulate more than 100 origin qi pillars, but Lu Ming had stimulated 700. How is this possible? How could there be such a strong genius in the world? The other 80 people thought that they had seen the world, but at this moment they all felt that they were country bumpkins, people who had never seen the world before. 700 origin qi pillars. This should be the limit. The white-haired old man swallowed hard. His eyes were wide open, and his heart was thumping. However, in the next moment, he almost fell to the ground. That was because the origin qi morning and evening had not stopped vibrating. Instead, it vibrated even more violently. Could it be that he can stimulate more origin qi pillars? Some people said in a hoarse voice, 700 origin qi pillars are not enough. Let's try the battle formula. Lu Ming's eyes flashed a ray of light, and then he began to activate the battle formula. Lu Ming's understanding of the battle formula was getting more and more profound. Now, the success rate of activating the battle formula to quadruple his combat strength had reached 50%. Lu Ming's body was filled with a strong fighting spirit, and a powerful force burst out from his body. Rumble. The origin qi morning and evening vibrated even more violently. Then, more origin qi pillars rushed out. This time, hundreds of origin qi pillars rushed out, and the sky was filled with origin qi pillars. The number of origin qi pillars reached a total of 999. The number of origin qi pillars needed to activate the origin qi morning and evening was 999. Oh my God, he alone activated 999 origin chi pillars. This is too shocking. Unbelievable. Everyone at the scene was almost scared to death. At this moment, the origin chi morning and evening vibrated violently, rolling up waves of origin chi that filled the sky. There was a terrifying explosion, and cracks appeared on the origin chi morning and evening. It's going to open. The origin chi morning and evening is going to open. The heart of desolation is going to be born. Many people shouted, and their eyes were burning with passion. This time it was really out of everyone's expectations. They originally thought that it was impossible to open the origin chi morning and that they would have to wait for the news to spread out, and the geniuses of the major forces in Qin Tian Star Field would gather to open it. They never thought that it would open now. Ha ha ha! The heart of desolation is destined to be mine. A 7th-level heavenly god expert roared in his heart, and his eyes were burning with passion. Although Lu Ming had activated 999 primordial chi pillars, in his opinion, Lu Ming was only talented. Lu Ming's cultivation level and combat strength were nothing in his eyes. Chapter 2889. In fact, it wasn't just this 7th-layer heavenly god who thought so. The others thought so too. They had to admit that Lu Ming's talent was unparalleled. It was simply unheard of. However, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the true god realm after all. Talent didn't mean strength, so they didn't take him seriously at all. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the heart of desolation, waiting for the moment when the heart of desolation would collapse. Boom! Finally, the heart of desolation exploded with a loud bang, turning into endless chi and dissipating in the air. The heart of desolation is mine. A 7th-layer heavenly god expert roared and pounced at the heart of desolation. Get lost! The heart of desolation is mine. Kill! The others roared and pounced at the heart of desolation with bloodshot eyes. Those who could make it this far were at least 5th-layer heavenly gods with shocking fighting strength. A total of 80 people pounced at the heart of desolation. A chaotic battle began. Boom! 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 Everyone fought fiercely. All 80 people wanted to get the heart of desolation. Once someone got close to the heart of desolation, they would be surrounded and attacked by the others. As soon as the battle began, some people fell and were killed here. A few screams were heard as a few 5th-layer heavenly gods were killed. However, no one retreated. They continued to attack the heart of desolation. The heart of desolation was something that even divine kings would be tempted to fight for. One could imagine how valuable it was. How could an ordinary cultivator resist such a temptation? Everyone ignored Lu Ming. No one thought that Lu Ming was a threat. Lu Ming stood at the side with a smile. He withdrew his divine force and didn't make a move. He wanted to reap the benefits while the tigers fought. The battle became more and more intense. Some of the weaker cultivators were killed one after another. Finally, some of them were scared. They retreated out of the battlefield with fear on their faces. Only some 6th-layer and 7th-layer heavenly gods were left fighting and competing. However, no one could get close to the heart of desolation. This battle lasted for half a day, but no one had obtained the heart of desolation. In the end, the fighting stopped. The most powerful group of experts stopped at the 4 sides of the heart of chaos, facing each other, breathing heavily. It was clear that the consumption was extremely severe. After this battle, of the original 80 people, only 40 or so remained. Nearly half of them had died here. The remaining people faced each other and stared at each other. For a moment, no one dared to make the first move. They all knew that whoever made the first move would be besieged by the others. No one could guarantee that they would be able to escape unscathed under the siege of others. It's about time. At this moment, Lu Ming muttered. Then he stepped forward. Step by step, he walked towards the heart of desolation. What is this brat trying to do? Many people's eyes were focused on Lu Ming. Some of them had cold, murderous intent in their eyes. Could it be that this kid is trying to claim the heart of chaos? You're courting death. Cold light flashed in the eyes of some people. Brat, stop. Someone shouted. However, Lu Ming did not stop. He continued to walk forward, not bothering to pay attention to that person. Brat, you're courting death. That person roared and slashed at Lu Ming with his saber. This person was a 6th-level heavenly god. However, he was already injured in the battle just now. Moreover, his divine power was severely depleted. His combat strength had weakened a lot. He was even weaker than a 5th-level heavenly god. Get lost! Lu Ming shouted and attacked with all his might. His spear lashed out at that person. Boom! The two of them clashed, causing a loud explosion. Lu Ming's figure only swayed a little, while the other party's body shook violently and retreated continuously. This brat, many people's eyes narrowed, revealing a look of surprise. Lu Ming's combat strength had exceeded their expectations. Although that person's combat strength had weakened a lot, it was still not to be underestimated. Lu Ming was only a true god realm cultivator, but he could actually force such an expert to retreat. No wonder he could reach here. Many people had such a thought in their minds. After Lu Ming forced that person back, he continued to rush toward the heart of desolation. Brat, you have some strength, but it's still not enough. An old woman shouted coldly. She stretched out her withered hand and clawed at Lu Ming. A withered claw rapidly enlarged, emitting a disgusting smell, and grabbed at Lu Ming. This old woman was a 7th-level heavenly god. Previously, she had activated 6 pillars of vitality. Her strength was extremely shocking. Even though her divine power was severely depleted, once she attacked, her strength was extremely terrifying. However, Lu Ming was not afraid at all. Ancient god body. Lu Ming's heart stirred as he unleashed the ancient god tactic. His body expanded rapidly. This time, Lu Ming did not hold back. He used his full strength. He turned into a 200-meter-tall, green-armored ancient god and let out an ancient god roar. Roar! With a loud roar, Lu Ming stabbed out with a spear. Puff! The withered old woman's palm was directly pierced by Lu Ming. The old woman let out a sharp scream and stretched her hand back. Her face was pale, and blood flowed from her palm. The others were shocked. The old woman's strength was extremely terrifying. Although she had consumed some of her energy, it was still very terrifying. She was actually injured by Lu Ming's spear. A true god realm person's combat strength was actually so terrifying. After repelling the old woman, Lu Ming's figure flashed and rushed toward the heart of desolation. He wants to take the heart of desolation. Let's attack together and kill this person. The old woman shouted. A powerful aura erupted from her body as she attacked Lu Ming. At the same time, the other experts also attacked Lu Ming. There were more than a dozen 7th-level heavenly gods and many 6th-level heavenly gods. With so many people attacking together, the power was shocking. Courting death! Lu Ming shouted coldly. A layer of crimson gold armor appeared on his huge body. Then 9 ice chains flew out and surrounded him. Lu Ming first set up layers of defense, then attacked the old woman. Boom! Lu Ming stabbed out with his spear. A spear light pierced toward the old woman. Lu Ming was now able to suppress the Paragon Saint with his full strength. Although the Paragon Saint's cultivation was only 6th-level heavenly god, his combat strength was strong enough to kill a 7th-level heavenly god. He was probably stronger than the old woman, and Lu Ming could suppress the Paragon Saint. Naturally, dealing with the old woman was not a problem. Moreover, the old woman's divine energy was severely depleted. Puff! The spear light directly shattered the old woman's attack. The old woman screamed and spat out a large mouthful of blood. She quickly retreated. At this moment, the others' attacks also landed on Lu Ming's body. The 9 ice chains and the crimson gold armor shook a few times before exploding. Then they landed on Lu Ming's green scales. However, the green scales' defense was shocking. They successfully blocked the others' attacks. Chapter 2890. The green scales on the ancient god body had incredible defensive power. Although the experts had destroyed Lu Ming's ice chains and 9 layers scarlet gold armor, they hadn't been able to break through the green scales. Although some of the scales had broken and blood had seeped out of his body, Lu Ming had still managed to block them. Lu Ming had a rough idea of his own defensive power. Kill! Lu Ming roared, no longer caring about his own defense. He brandished his spear and attacked the old woman. The old woman had already been heavily injured by Lu Ming and didn't have the strength to fight back. She frantically retreated, screaming, "Save me! Save me!" However, Lu Ming had forcefully endured the attacks of the others. It was too late for the others to save her. Bang! The spear stabbed out, and a huge spear light crushed the old woman. In front of the spear light, the old woman's body was as small as an ant. She directly exploded, turning into ashes. A 7th-level celestial god expert was killed by Lu Ming just like that. After killing the old woman, Lu Ming's spear changed direction, and he attacked the others. While attacking the others, Lu Ming's body constantly flashed with all kinds of light. 9 layers scarlet gold armor, ice chains, and even 3 divine dragon manifestations. Lu Ming didn't use these divine skills and secret arts to attack, but to defend. Boom! 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 One attack after another landed on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body shook, and the ice chains, 9 layers scarlet gold armor, and divine dragon manifestations all collapsed. However, the power of the attacks that landed on Lu Ming's body was much weaker. They were all blocked by Lu Ming. Lu Ming seemed to be dripping with blood, but his vital organs were not injured. Lu Ming blocked the attacks of the others, but the others couldn't block Lu Ming's attacks. Lu Ming specifically targeted a 7th-level heavenly god and launched a fierce attack. Soon, this person followed in the footsteps of the old woman and was killed by Lu Ming. After killing 2 7th-level heavenly gods consecutively, the others were finally a little scared. Their eyes were filled with fear. Some of them even slowed down their attacks, planning to flee the moment something went wrong. As for Lu Ming, the more he fought, the more courageous he became. His battle intent soared to the heavens, and a terrifying spear light constantly pierced and swept out. Not long after, another 2 people were killed. Not good. Retreat. Some people were terrified. When they saw Lu Ming charging over, they didn't dare to fight back. They retreated continuously, afraid that they would be targeted by Lu Ming. Whoosh! Lu Ming didn't chase after them. His figure flickered as he rushed towards the Heart of Desolation. When he got close to the Heart of Desolation, no one dared to compete with him. Lu Ming grabbed the Heart of Desolation and put it into his spatial ring. Damn it! Damn it! My Heart of Desolation! Many people roared in their hearts as they watched Lu Ming take the Heart of Desolation. They were envious to death, but no one dared to stop him. Lu Ming's combat strength was too strong. The main thing was that his defense was too abnormal. They couldn't break through Lu Ming's defense, so they couldn't deal a fatal blow to Lu Ming. If it was someone else with similar offensive strength as Lu Ming, but without such a strong defense, they definitely wouldn't be a match for so many of them. They would have been killed by their combined attacks. Unfortunately, after Lu Ming transformed into his ancient god body, his defense was too abnormal. It was enough to block their attacks and then chase after one of them. This terrified them. The Heart of Desolation is finally mine. Lu Ming's lips curled into a faint smile, and then he rushed in the direction he came from. Wherever Lu Ming went, no one stopped him. Although the Heart of Desolation was precious, it was far inferior to one's own life. Lu Ming left this place unimpeded and arrived outside. Outside, many people swept their gazes toward Lu Ming, looking suspicious. You came out? What's the situation inside? Did anyone get the heart of desolation? You seem to be heavily injured. You must have been seriously injured and withdrawn from the competition, right? Many people saw that Lu Ming was the first one to come out, and immediately asked all at once. Yes, they were competing for the heart of desolation. There was a huge battle going on inside. My cultivation was too weak, so I couldn't defeat them. I was lucky to survive, Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded, believing that Lu Ming was telling the truth. No one doubted that Lu Ming had obtained the heart of desolation. Therefore, no one doubted Lu Ming. Lu Ming left this place unimpeded and headed out of the Desolation mountain range. Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, your luck is really good. You didn't get the Desolation grass, but you actually got the heart of desolation. If you use the heart of desolation to refine an array disk, its power will be even more shocking. At that time, you will have a greater chance of defeating the Dragon Mountain. In Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, Gu Mo laughed heartily, lamenting Lu Ming's luck. Lu Ming was also quite happy. Now he had found all the things that Gu Mo said. Now he could return to the Kongshan school and refine the array disk. The Dragon Mountain wanted to sacrifice him to break the Rising Dragon formation. But it wasn't that easy. Not long after, Lu Ming left the Desolation mountain range. After spending some time, he returned to the Kongshan school. After returning to the Kongshan school, Lu Ming found Ouyang Qingxiang. Lu Ming, you want to see my grandfather? Ouyang Qingxiang asked in surprise. Yes, I have something to ask Senior Yu for help. Lu Ming nodded. The array disk that Gu Mo mentioned was incomparably mysterious. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, it was impossible for him to refine it. If he wanted to fully refine it and display its power, only a divine king could do it. However, it was easier said than done to ask a divine king for help. Therefore, Lu Ming immediately thought of Ouyang Qingxiang's grandfather, Yu Wia. Lu Ming had helped Ouyang Qingxiang obtain the position of Zongzi of the Kongshan school. Yu Wia had no reason to reject Lu Ming. Asking my grandfather for help is a small matter. Come with me. Ouyang Qingxiang nodded and led Lu Ming to Yu Wia's cultivation area. When they arrived at Yu Wia's cultivation area, Lu Ming waited outside while Ouyang Qingxiang went in to look for Yu Wia. Not long after, Ouyang Qingxiang came out with a smile on her face and said, Lu Ming, my grandfather just came out of seclusion. I'll bring you to see him. Lu Ming nodded and followed Ouyang Qingxiang to a large hall to see Yu Wia. Junior Lu Ming greets Senior Yu. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed. After all, Yu Wia was a divine king expert, a top expert of the Qin Tian star field. Lu Ming, no need to be so polite. Sit. Yu Wia smiled and invited Lu Ming to take a seat. Lu Ming had helped Ouyang Qingxiang obtain the position of Zongzi. Yu Wia's impression of Lu Ming was extremely good. The more he looked at Lu Ming, the more pleasing he was to the eye. He was even thinking of how to matchmake Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang. This way, Ouyang Qingxiang's position in the Kongshan school would be as stable as Mount Tai. Therefore, he was very polite to Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Ouyang Qingxiang sat down, and someone came to brew tea. Chapter 2891. Yu Wia picked up the teacup and took a sip. His gaze fell on Lu Ming again as he asked, I heard from Qingxiang that you have something you need my help with. Yes, Senior Yu. I want to refine a kind of array disk, but my cultivation is too low and I can't refine it. Only a divine king expert can refine it, so I thought of you, Senior. Lu Ming did not hide and directly told him his purpose. What array disk? It needs a divine king to refine it? Yu Wia was also interested. Senior, please take a look. Lu Ming took out a jade talisman and waved his hand. The jade talisman flew to Yu Wia. Yu Wia caught it in his hand and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness, reading the contents of the jade talisman. After a while, Yu Wuya revealed a look of surprise and said, "What a mysterious array disc! The refining method of such an array disc is really unheard of. Amazing, amazing. No wonder you can't refine it with your cultivation. Haha, don't you know who gave the array disc? How can the array disc given by me be bad?" Bone Demon's smug voice sounded. "Senior, this is something I found by chance when exploring a ruin. May I ask if you can refine it?" Lu Ming asked. "I can refine it, but some of the materials needed to refine this array disc are rather rare. Even I can't gather them in a short time," Yu Wuya said. "Senior, the materials are not a problem. I've already gathered them." After Lu Ming finished speaking, he took out the materials needed to refine the array disc one by one. The Heart of Desolation. "Lu Ming, you actually have the Heart of Desolation?" When he saw Lu Ming take out the Heart of Desolation, Yu Wuya was shocked. Lu Ming's weight in his heart increased a little. This junior was lucky enough to obtain it, Lu Ming said humbly. Yu Wuya smiled, knowing that Lu Ming was being modest. If he was lucky enough to obtain it, then why couldn't others obtain it? "Lu Ming, since the materials have been prepared, this old man can begin the refinement. However, it will take a few months to complete the refinement. Once the refinement is complete, I will send someone to inform you," Yu Wuya said. "Thank you, Senior. Junior has another request. I hope that Senior won't tell anyone else about this disc array, especially other god kings," Lu Ming said. "If news of the disc array were to spread to Dragon Zhoushan, or if Dragon Zhoushan were to see it, it would definitely raise the guard of Dragon Zhoushan." Yu Wuya glanced at Lu Ming in surprise. He did not understand why Lu Ming did not dare to let the other god kings know. However, he did not ask any further. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely not let a second person know." "Thank you, Senior." Lu Ming cupped his fists in thanks and then left with Ouyang Qingxiang. He would be able to refine it in a few months. There was enough time. Long Haoshan had given Lu Ming 10 years of time. Returning to his residence, Lu Ming cultivated in peace. In a blink of an eye, several months passed. Yu Wuya had already finished refining the disc array and had Ouyang Qingxiang bring it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief, feeling much more confident. Cultivating like this is too slow. It's impossible to break through to the heavenly god realm in 10 years. On this day, Lu Ming ended his cultivation and pondered with a frown on his face. There was a huge chasm between the peak 9th level true god realm and the heavenly god realm. It was too difficult to break through. 99% of people were forever stuck at the peak true god realm, unable to break through. Only those with outstanding talent could break through after a long period of accumulation or some fortuitous encounter. Therefore, those who could break through to the heavenly god realm were mostly geniuses with king-grade divine force. The higher the grade of divine force, the easier it was to break through. Those with ordinary divine force would find it difficult to break through to the heavenly god realm. Of course, it wasn't absolute. There were those with ordinary divine force who broke through to the heavenly god realm, but those were the minority. However, no matter how high the grade of divine force they controlled was, it was very difficult for them to break through to the heavenly god realm in 10 years after breaking through to the peak 9th level true god realm. Lu Ming frowned. He didn't doubt that if he couldn't break through to the heavenly god realm in 10 years, Long Haoshan would really make a move on him. Lu Ming was still thinking about what method he could find to let his cultivation break through quickly. At this time, Lu Ming's heart shook. He felt that someone was coming from outside the courtyard. Lu Ming walked out of the courtyard and saw a white-haired old man standing in the air. "Holy Son, Lu Ming." The white-haired old man smiled and nodded in greeting. "Elder Lu, why are you looking for me?" Lu Ming asked. Lu Ming recognized this white-haired old man. He was an inner sect elder. The sect master has ordered to gather all the holy sons and holy daughters. He has a mission for you. Elder Lu said. "A mission? And all the holy sons and holy daughters? What mission is it? Lu Ming asked curiously. To be honest, I also don't know. I'm only in charge of passing on the message. Holy son Lu Ming, follow me. Later, a grand elder will tell you. Elder Lu said courteously. Then, Lu Ming followed Elder Lu into the depths of the inner sect. Soon, the two of them arrived at the peak of a mountain. Everyone's here. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and discovered that the paragon saint, Saint Son of Floating Light, Saint Son of Flaming Sky, Saint Son of Jixia, Ouyang Qingxiang, and Saint Ishuatan were all present at the peak of the mountain. Seeing Lu Ming arrive, everyone's gaze fell on Lu Ming, especially the supreme, holy sun. A cold light flashed in his eyes, revealing a wisp of killing intent. But it was only a flash before he hit it. However, Lu Ming's spiritual perception was extremely sharp. He clearly caught it. You want to kill me? Humph, you better not give me the chance. A wisp of killing intent also flashed in Lu Ming's heart. Clearly, the Supreme Holy Sun had lost to Lu Ming last time and harbored a grudge against Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. If there was a chance, Lu Ming wouldn't be lenient toward such a person. He would find a chance to get rid of him. His gaze swept past the Supreme Holy Sun, Fuko Seiko, and the others before landing on the old man at the front. Senior Elder. Lu Ming's heart shook. From this old man's clothes, Lu Ming knew he was a senior elder of the Kongxian School's Senior Elder Hall. He was in existence at the Divine King Realm. Elder Lu landed in front of Senior Elder Hall and respectfully bowed. Senior Elder Hall. Holy Son Lu Ming has arrived. All right, you can leave, said Senior Elder Lu indifferently. Then Elder Lu respectfully left. Only Lu Ming, the Holy Sons, and Senior Elder Hall were left on the mountain peak. You must be very curious as to what mission I've gathered you for this time, right? Said Senior Elder Hall with a faint smile. That's right, Senior Elder Fan. May I know why you've gathered us all together? The Paragon Saint was the first to ask. There is indeed a major matter that requires you all to work together. The location is in Darklight Galaxy. As for the specifics, there's no need to rush. Come with me. Once we reach Darklight Galaxy, I'll naturally tell you. Let's go. After Senior Elder Fan finished speaking, he walked in the direction of the transportation formation. Everyone could only follow Grand Elder Fan into the teleportation array with their doubts. Chapter 2892. Dim Light Star River was an extremely remote star river in the Qin Tian star field. It was even more remote than the chaotic Star River. That was because there were very few living beings in this star river. Cultivators were even rarer, and those who had become gods were few and far between. Therefore, very few people would come here. Every major force would symbolically set up a teleportation point in dim Ice Star River and send a few people to guard it. Through the teleportation array, Lu Ming's group arrived at the teleportation point. Then, with a wave of Grand Elder Fan's hand, a surge of divine force shrouded them and brought them into the starry sky. Their speed was extremely fast. What astonishing speed! Lu Ming looked at the stars flying past one after another and exclaimed in his heart. The speed of a God King expert was too fast. Shuttling through the starry sky was even faster than most of the space battleships. In fact, after reaching the God King realm, there was almost no need for space battleships. Unless it was a rare and astonishingly high-grade space battleship, the average space battleship speed wouldn't be comparable to a God King's flying speed. Half a day later, in the starry sky ahead, a dazzling radiance suddenly shone. Rings of radiance appeared in the starry sky ahead. They were extremely dazzling, even brighter than the stars, illuminating the starry sky. Lu Ming's group came to a halt. That is, everyone looked in front of them in shock, because those rings of radiance were too big. They were many times bigger than a life planet. This is our target for this trip. There's a star system in front of us, Grand Elder Fan explained. Everyone looked over and saw that there was indeed a star system in front of them. The core of this star system was a star. However, this star's radiance was extremely dim, as if it would extinguish at any moment. Around the star, there were about a dozen planets revolving around it. Those rings of radiance were emitted from this star system. One could imagine how big it was. Boom! Boom! At this moment, terrifying rumbles erupted from the periphery of the star system. Dazzling divine light illuminated the starry sky. The terrifying explosion shook the entire star system. "There are experts attacking that star system," Ouyang Qingxiang exclaimed. "That's right. There are indeed experts attacking this star system. They are the sect masters of the Qin Tian 13 sects and some God King Grand Elders." Grand Elder Fan explained. Lu Ming and the others were even more surprised. The patriarchs of the Qin Tian 13 sects had arrived. There were also some divine king eminent elders who were besieging this galaxy. What was in this galaxy? Let me tell you, this entire galaxy has been set up with a great formation. Those rings of light are the light of the great formation. Even the sect masters of the Qin Tian 13 sects and the divine king experts could not break through it. Grand Elder Fan explained. Set up the formation with the stars. Lu Ming and the others were dumbfounded. Just how big was a galaxy? Someone had actually laid down a formation over the entire galaxy. Just how terrifying was that? It was truly astonishing. Grand Elder Fan, what exactly is inside this great array? It actually drew over the 13 sky pillar sects. Besides that, what does this have to do with us? The Paragon Saint asked. The patriarchs of the Qin Tian 13 sects and some God King Doyens were here. What did that have to do with them? With their cultivation, there was no way they could interfere at all. Don't be anxious. This matter needs to be explained from the beginning. Grand Elder Fan then explained the ins and outs of the matter in detail. Usually, no one would pay attention to the dim light galaxy, and almost no one would come here. But a few months ago, someone had accidentally discovered that this galaxy was extremely strange. After some investigation, they discovered that this galaxy had actually been set up with a great formation. This kind of great formation quickly alarmed the upper echelons of the Qin Tian 13 sects. The Qin Tian 13 sects immediately sent experts who were proficient in formations to study it. In the end, they came up with a shocking conclusion. In the distant past, someone had set up a great formation over the entire galaxy with a star as the core. Their goal was to refine a star core, to refine an entire star into a star core. When this news came out, it shocked most of the God King experts of the Qin Tian 13 sects. That was because once a cultivator reached the God King realm, they would have to refine a star core. When a heavenly god broke through to the God King realm, the divine flame in their body would turn into a star core. A star core was the core of a star. It condensed boundless power. However, a God King star core was extremely weak and small. It couldn't be compared to a star core. Someone actually wanted to refine an entire star into a star core. A star core refined from an entire star was definitely a priceless treasure. If a God King could obtain it, his cultivation base would definitely soar. Furthermore, a formation grandmaster had already come up with the conclusion that this great formation had been set up for a very long time. The star had practically been refined, so the star core had already been successfully refined. It would be strange if those God Kings weren't moved. If they obtained the star core, their cultivation bases would soar, and they would be able to suppress other God Kings and dominate the Qin Tian starfield. That was why the sect masters of the Qin Tian 13 sects and many other God Kings had come to fight for the star core. However, they had been blocked by the galaxy's great formation. After a few months of attacks, many experts had been unable to break through the great formation and enter the galaxy. Through the research of many formation grandmasters, they had come up with the conclusion that only the younger generation's geniuses could enter this galaxy. That was because the great formation had been specially set up. When one's age exceeded a certain limit, it was impossible to enter. That was why they had gathered all of them. It's not just us from the Kongshan school. The top geniuses from the other forces have also been gathered. However, the various sect masters and god kings are still unwilling to give up. They want to make one last attempt to see if they can break through this great formation. Grand Elder Fan explained. Lu Ming and the rest were enlightened. They finally knew what had happened. Ahead of them were the various sect masters and God King Realm Grand Elders' final attempt to break through the formation. If they still couldn't break through, they would probably have to send their younger generation's geniuses. It was no wonder that all the saints and saintesses had been gathered. It was because they might have to compete with the top geniuses from the other forces, or even the top 3 overlord forces. Boom! Boom! In the starry sky ahead, the rumbling sounds were still incessant as dazzling lights flashed. All of you follow me. Grand Elder Fan led Lu Ming and the rest forward. Swoosh! Swoosh! At that moment, streams of light flew over from other directions. Lu Ming and the rest looked around and saw that every stream of light was a figure. There was a God King Realm expert leading a group of young people. Obviously, these were the experts from the other forces who had brought their young geniuses over. After flying for a while, they stopped not far away from the galaxy. Chapter 2893. Other than Lu Ming and the others, there were other people in this area. There were a total of 13 batches, and each batch had some young people. The prodigies of the Qin Tian 13 sects had all arrived. Among them, the 3 overlord forces, the Mystic Academy, the Invincible Kenzo, and the Immeasurable Sacred Ground, had the most people. Each of them had a strong aura, and their eyes were filled with powerful auras. It was obvious that they were all experts, and each of them was a saint. However, there were some sects that were much more shabby, although they had a lot of people, and some sects even had more people than the Profound Sky sect. There were very few Holy Sun level characters. Some powers only had 1 or 2 Holy Sun level characters, while the others weren't Holy Sun level characters at all. They were far inferior to Holy Sun level characters. The prodigies of the Qin Tian 13 sects were sizing each other up. Ji Qianquan, I heard that you were defeated in the Kongshan School's Zongzi competition. Ha ha ha, you're really a piece of trash. At this moment, a loud laugh was heard. It came from the Mystic Academy. Lu Ming and the rest looked in the direction of the voice. Someone from the multi-eyed race. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The person who had spoken just now had 4 eyes on his face. There were 2 eyes on each side, and all 4 eyes were shining with a cold light. This was the multi-eyed race, also known as the 4-eyed race. Like the 3-eyed race, they belonged to the multi-eyed race. 4-eyed emptiness, what did you say? The Paragon Saint's face was extremely cold as he stared at this person. This person's name was 4-eyed emptiness. What, did I say something wrong? I heard that you were defeated by a new disciple of the Kongshan school. If you're not a piece of trash, then what are you? To think that you used to be as famous as me. How disgusting! 4-eyed emptiness sneered, his face full of disdain. Ha ha ha! 4-eyed emptiness, you're right. Ji Qianquan, you're really a piece of trash. Someone from the Invincible Kenzo and the Immeasurable Sacred Ground sneered disdainfully. This made the Paragon Saint's face turn even uglier. Lu Ming, the Paragon Saint, roared in his heart. This was a great humiliation to him, and he blamed this humiliation on Lu Ming. It was all Lu Ming's fault. If it weren't for Lu Ming, he wouldn't have suffered such humiliation. Lu Ming, there are some people in the 3 major forces that you have to pay attention to. That 4-eyed Empyrean is someone who is as famous as the Sovereign Holy Sun. He is extremely talented and has great combat strength. I'm afraid he is even stronger than the Sovereign Holy Sun. Ouyang Qingxiang transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. There's also the Invincible Kenzo in the Immeasurable Sacred Ground. Each and every one of them is extremely terrifying. Ouyang Qingxiang continued to transmit her voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and asked, I heard that there are divine sons in the three overlords. Where are their divine sons? Did they not come? They're all here. Ouyang Qingxiang said, Do you see that cold-faced bald youth in the Mystic Academy? That's the Mystic Academy's divine son, Mo Jiuyi. Lu Ming looked in the direction Ouyang Qingxiang was pointing. Indeed, he saw a bald youth in the Mystic Academy's crowd. This person's appearance was ordinary and his aura was restrained. Standing in the crowd, it was easy to overlook him. Lu Ming hadn't paid much attention to this person before. He hadn't expected this person to be the Mystic Academy's divine son, a peerless genius who controlled divine force. As if sensing Lu Ming's gaze, Mo Jiuyi also looked at Lu Ming. A pitch-black light flashed in his eyes, and it shot towards Lu Ming like a sharp blade. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed, and he felt a stabbing pain in his eyes. He quickly circulated his energy to block it. This person is very terrifying. Lu Ming came to a conclusion. Mo Jiuyi stared at Lu Ming, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. The corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. His lips moved slightly, and a voice suddenly rang in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming, in the ancient gods' world, you killed the Mystic Academy's divine son. This is a great crime, and I will make you pay with your life. Mo Jiuyi's voice was cold and merciless, and it was filled with terrifying killing intent. You want to kill me? I'm afraid you don't have the ability to do so. Lu Ming replied forcefully. Hee, you're very confident. Just you wait. Mo Jiuyi said coldly, and then he didn't say anything else. Ouyang Qingxiang didn't know that Lu Ming and Mo Jiuyi had already talked in secret, so she continued to introduce to Lu Ming. The young man in white from the invincible Kenzo is the invincible Kenzo's divine son, and the sword in his hand is extremely terrifying. Ouyang Qingxiang said. Lu Ming's gaze shifted from Mo Jiuyi to the young man in white from the invincible Kenzo. This person was called Sword Dao Wuji, and he was extremely handsome. His entire body exuded a terrifying sword intent that no one could ignore. Another terrifying genius. Lu Ming thought to himself. Sword Dao Wuji's gaze also looked at Lu Ming, and a cold smile appeared on his face. His eyes were like two divine swords, emitting a terrifying sword intent. Even the other invincible Kenzo's prodigies standing beside him paled, and they quickly moved away from him to avoid being injured by his sword intent. The burly young man in red armor from the boundless sacred ground is called Psong Yen Pijuan, and he's the divine son of the boundless sacred ground. Ouyang Qingxiang introduced. Lu Ming's gaze shifted over again. It was a young man who was close to 3 meters tall. He was abnormally burly, and he wore a thick red armor that gave off a powerful pressure. The pressure that this person gave off wasn't any weaker than Sword Dao Wuji or Mo Jiuyi. He was also a terrifying genius. Lu Ming memorized the names of these 3 people. There were many prodigies from the Qin Tian 13 sects, but only these 3 people made Lu Ming feel threatened. He didn't care about the others. Boom! Boom! Just as everyone was sizing each other up, the explosions in front of them became even more intense. Rings of dazzling light could be seen flickering around the galaxy, blocking the terrifying attacks. After a while, those attacks stopped. Then, rays of light began to fly over. The sect masters of the Qin Tian 13 sects and the other divine king experts had finished breaking the formation and returned. In the next moment, 5 figures appeared in front of Lu Ming and the others. The person in the lead was the Kongshan School's sect master, Dragon Zhoushan. The other 4 were the founding elders of the Kongshan School, and they were all divine king experts. Dragon Zhoushan and the other 4's auras were a little unstable. It was obvious that breaking the formation had consumed a lot of energy. Sect Master, how is it? Still can't break it? Founding Elder Fan asked. It can't be broken. Dragon Zhoushan shook his head, and then his gaze fell on Lu Ming and the others. It's up to you now. Don't worry, Sect Master. I'll do my best to help you get the stellar core, the Supreme Saint hurriedly said. Dragon Joshan waved his hand and said, There's no need for you to get the stellar core. With your cultivation, you won't be able to get the stellar core. According to the predictions of the Array Masters, there are some array plates in this galaxy. Chapter 2894. That's right. The person who set up the array did not completely seal off Lu Ming. When he set up the array, there was still a possibility, and that was the array plate. According to the speculation of a few array masters, there should be 12 array plates in the galaxy. As long as we have the array plates, we can enter the galaxy unimpeded and obtain the star core. Therefore, your mission this time is to enter the galaxy and find the array plates. At least, you must obtain one. Long Joshan said. Don't worry, sect leader. I will do my best. Even if I have to risk my life, I will obtain one of the array plates. The Supreme Holy Sun was the first to speak again. The mission this time isn't going to be easy. The other factions have sent out all their geniuses. Therefore, the mission I'm giving you is a formation badge, at least one. Of course, the more the better. Also, those array plates are scattered on different planets in the galaxy. It won't be that easy to find them. Long Joshan said. Lu Ming and the others were silent as they began to ponder. It seems that the star core is very important to Long Haoshan. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. However, although entering that galaxy this time will be dangerous for you, it will also be an opportunity. Countless years ago, an Almighty set up a formation here to refine a star into a star core. Now that the star core has been formed, some other treasures will also appear in the galaxy. For example, some extremely precious materials for refining weapons. Maybe even fragments of the star core will appear. Long Joshan said. Star core fragments. Lu Ming, the Supreme Holy Sun, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others' eyes lit up. That's right, star core fragments. After all, they're refining the star into a star core. It is very likely that some star core fragments will appear during the refining process. If you can obtain the star core fragments, it will be a great opportunity for you. Long Joshan said. This made Lu Ming and the others even more excited. Lu Ming, this is also a great opportunity for you. If you can get some star core fragments, you will have a great chance to break through to the celestial god realm. You have to seize this opportunity. You only have 10 years. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. Long Haoshan's cold voice sounded in Lu Ming's ears. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, but he didn't say anything. Long Joshan did not have good intentions when he reminded Lu Ming. He wanted Lu Ming to break through to the heavenly god realm so that he could use him to break through the rising dragon formation. Of course, Lu Ming was also very interested in the stellar core fragment. He also intended to use the stellar core fragment to break through to the heavenly god realm. In this contest with the Dragon Mountain, the higher the cultivation, the better. If any of you can obtain the array plate, I will reward you handsomely. All right, follow me. After Long Joshan finished his last sentence, he turned around and headed towards the star system. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, the Paragon Saint, and the others followed. In another direction, the other prodigies of the Qin heavenly 13 sects also arrived at the edge of the star system under the lead of their respective sect masters. The mission I gave you is to obtain at least 3 of the 12 array plates. Do you understand? The Dean of the Mystic Academy warned the prodigies of the Mystic Academy. He didn't hide his voice, and it spread far and wide, allowing everyone to hear him. Dean, don't worry. We will definitely obtain at least 3 of the 12 array plates. No problem. The prodigies of the Mystic Academy spoke one after another. They were all very confident. The Mystic Academy sure is confident. However, I am the invincible Kenzo. I need at least 3 array plates. Are you confident? The invincible Kenzo sect master sneered and asked the prodigies of the invincible Kenzo. Yes, 3 array plates. We must obtain them. The prodigies of the invincible Kenzo roared with confidence. On the other side, the prodigies of the immeasurable sacred ground roared as well. Their goal was also to obtain at least 3 array plates. There were a total of 12 array plates. The 3 overlords were all very confident that they would obtain at least 3 array plates. This made the prodigies of the top 10 sects look solemn. They didn't say anything. Their appetite wasn't that big. Their goal was only 1 array plate. As long as they could obtain 1 array plate, they would be satisfied. All right, you can all depart now. The dean of the Mystic Academy waved his hand. Yes, the prodigies of the Mystic Academy responded and flew toward the star system in front of them. There were a total of 18 planets in the star system in front of them. There might be array plates on all 18 planets. Therefore, they could only rely on their luck to choose a star and fly toward it. However, they could only choose the outermost planet to fly toward it first. They would start their search from the outermost planets. The prodigies of the Mystic Academy chose a black planet and flew toward it. Then, the invincible Kenzo and the immeasurable sacred ground each chose a planet and flew toward it. In this way, the 3 overlords each occupied one of the outermost planets. You all should depart as well. Long Zhoushan instructed Lu Ming and the others. Let's go to that planet first. Ouyang Qingxiang pointed at a blue planet. That planet wasn't the one the 3 overlords had chosen to enter. The others didn't have any objections. They all moved and flew toward that planet. The prodigies of the other sects also chose a planet and flew toward it. Some sects chose to fly toward the same planet. After all, the surface area of a planet was very large. Even if they landed on the same planet, they might not encounter each other. Lu Ming, Ouyang Qingxiang, and the others flew into the star system's range. They didn't find anything strange. Originally, the God Kings would have been blocked by the star system's array when they reached this distance. However, Lu Ming and the others didn't find anything strange. It's really effective. Many God Kings' eyes lit up. Seeing nothing strange, Lu Ming and the others increased their speed. They flew toward that blue planet like streaks of light. As they got closer, the planet grew larger and larger in front of them. At the same time, they felt a powerful gravitational force on them. What a powerful gravitational force! Everyone's expression changed slightly. They felt that this planet's gravitational force was shockingly strong. Furthermore, the closer they got to the planet, the more terrifying the gravitational force became. In the end, when they were several tens of thousands of meters above the star system, the gravitational force was shockingly strong. They had to constantly circulate their divine energy to resist that gravitational force. Let's go down. Ouyang Qingxiang took the lead and flew down. The others followed one after another and landed on the ground. Bang! Bang! In the end, they landed heavily on the ground, creating a huge crater. What a hard ground! Everyone's heart skipped a beat. They were very surprised.